Ladies and gentlemen, the time has come at last. After a competition of 7 of the best teams Latin America has to offer, we are down to 2. We will decide our FACEIT League Season 6 champion of South America Master Division, and we have 2 incredible teams in front of us here today. Dexatron FACTORX, a team that we would have talked about them 4 months ago. We would have considered them the underdog, but now they've gone through. They won the last season of Andromeda. They're fighting hard in CGL. They've gotten here as one of the favorites. It's entered a situation where they themselves are becoming the juggernauts that they have fought against in the past.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, you can go back to last season when they got into the playoffs. They were, like you said, a little bit of an underdog, but they won all the way through into that upper bracket, winning the upper bracket grand finals before eventually falling to Zocorp or leaders in the grand finals there. But they came back this season, got some revenge out of the way early, had a little bit of a slip up there. Yeah, I believe in their next 2 games, but ever since then, Hunter, I believe they're on a 5-6 game winning streak.
Yeah, and that's a great thing to have, especially when it's a much shorter season, a lot less games you end up playing. So there is kind of less room that you have to bounce back from situations or kind of gain a lot of momentum. But that is something they have been able to do here, and they've done a phenomenal job of it. Of course, looking at what these teams have been able to kind of accomplish, because when you look at a team like Pumas, this is maybe not the team you expected to be here, and that's not a shot at them whatsoever. This is simply from everything we saw throughout the regular season, throughout some of what we saw from them in the past season as well. They go into this, they end up slipping in with that 4-3 record over Zocorp, and they made the very best of it. They're doing what Zocorp did last season. They went through, they got to the grand finals, fighting their way through. Pumas have gone and done the exact same thing, and while you definitely can consider them the underdogs, the way we saw them fight against Goodfellas, you can't call them underdogs. They are here to fight, and they have a very legitimate chance tonight.
Yeah, whatever happened to Pumas in the first round in the upper bracket really taught them a lot, because ever since then, Hunter, they've looked like a team that could go up against some of the best teams in the world and probably come out on top here. I mean, you kind of even saw members of Factor X talking about, or I believe it was Redder talking about, like, well, looks like God has woken up or something along those lines, because Pumas at points looks like they are gods here. And this team has been absolutely on fire. And like you said, they're kind of following that same path that Zocorp had last season. Well, hey, they're meeting Factor X in the grand finals. Both those teams were 4 seeds. I believe they both also lost in their first game in the upper bracket before starting a wild run in the lower bracket here. But Hunter, me and you were talking about beforehand, these 2 teams, maybe some of the best teams in the South American region consistently across the board. I believe Factor X has been in since season 2 or 3. Pumas has been about the same. There's some members of this Pumas team that have been on this team from that season 2 when they first got here. I believe it's FX has been on there the longest, the tenured player on that side. Factor X, they've been here as well for a very, very long time with a ton of different people as well, but they have always been a consistent team. Hunter, this is season 6 of FACEIT here. This is Factor X's 3rd time in the grand finals here. However, they've never been crowned champions. They've always been the bridesmaid, never the bride here.
And they got a chance to be the bride right here and now within a couple of hours time, because of course this is grand finals. It is a first to 4. There's a lot more time to bounce back, but on top of that, a lot more time to make mistakes and losing game momentum. So it's going to be a challenge for these teams, because we haven't gotten to see Pumas ever play a series that could go 6-7 maps, but we have seen it from Factor F. We've seen them have to go the distance before and play out all of those maps, and maybe that could play an advantage toward them, but maybe it's a situation where Pumas is going to rise to the occasion. But we'll see what the situation is going to be as we're getting this map all sorted, ready to go. We do know for a fact our first map to get us going has Ilios, and Ilios has become one of the more popular picks here as of late, especially with it kind of being the one map I believe stayed in the hero pool when it came to control.
Yeah, absolutely. It is the one map that's stayed. Normally, we've been seeing a lot of Lijiang Tower here be our first map tonight, but Ilios, I think this is a really good map pick here from Factor X. And Hunter, I'm going to give you this one reason why I believe that's the reason. Factor X, you have to remember, they haven't played since the end of their first round game in the upper bracket. It's been over a week since this team has played. Outside of scrims and outside of just playing Overwatch for fun, this team hasn't been in a competitive setting in a while. Remember that upper bracket game, or upper bracket finals against Goodfellas, ended up being a forfeit there by Goodfellas, knocking them down to that lower bracket there. However, on the other hand, Pumas, well, they got knocked down to the lower bracket, had their backs against the wall, and oh man, they really played out of their minds here on fire to get everything going. But hey, another little quick fun fact. While there are Brazilian players on these two teams, I believe, based off what we were being told by some of the people in the region, this is the first time that these FACEIT Masters finals here in South America has not been represented by a Brazilian team, which is very, very fun and very, very interesting. And it's really starting to show you that I think this region is really, really growing.
It's growing, and that's something we want to see them. We haven't been able to see that for what feels like years on end. Back in the days of when we still had World Cup, when we still had South American contenders, where we got to see so many different parts of this amazing region flourish. And now we're starting to get back towards that, and I love every single second of it. And while I love every single second of it, we have the distinct honor here of being able to help crown the champion of Season 6 here in South America, and that's all going to start right here on Ilios. And quick talk about the bans. Pumas, they go for the ban out on the Hazard, and Factor X decide to get rid of that Kiriko.
And hey, I think those are really two good bans here. Hazard has been strong. Kiriko is just strong in general. Coming out of the gate, though, you see from Factor X, they want to play that dive competition, but they want to play Wrecking Ball. Also, we didn't see it in the first game in the upper bracket for them, but LCS back on the roster for them here. Joined them just before the roster lock. And on the other side, D.Va going to be the way to go here for them. But Eli on that. Freya, Hunter, me and you saw Eli take over the game against Goodfellas. Same thing with Lamont. That DPS line, the moment they get going, they're very, very difficult to shut down.
Very difficult to shut down. Tizzy, though, is in over on that bolt. Does get incredibly low. I can hear your reaction from here. But, of course, both teams want to have a great amount of overwhelming momentum going into this long series, because we could be here a little while, and the best thing you want to do is start out strong. And, of course, Null coming in on this roster gets hit with an anti, forced to back out a little bit on this Wuyong, something we don't see a lot in the South American region, but it's making itself prevalent here, and so is Pig Boy. Already has gotten rid of two, hunting down the others. It's going to be a beautiful start as Factor X starts strong.
Yeah, and you talked about their Null coming out here on the Wuyang. Haven't really seen a lot here in the South American region. A lot of the teams still prefer to keep either the Kiriko and Lucio going, maybe even something like what you're seeing over there, Brig Lucio going. But, I mean, Factor X has really been the only team that we've seen so far experiment and really full commit into playing the Wuyang here. And I think it's really working out for them here early on. That's going to be something that if throughout the series here tonight, Pumas needs to make the swap to, they might have to, and they might not necessarily feel the most comfortable about it.
Yeah, 100%, but it's all going to be about these adjustments. And Pig Boy, talking about the adjustments, has the first ultimate of this series online, and goes for the thing, and it's going to get 3! There's no way they go down to Lamont, but it doesn't matter. Now Glitch has to get staggered to all hell, and that is one heck of a start for Factor X.
I might have just scared the living hell out of my cat, but you all know who's scared more people there? Pig Boy. Finding 3 with the pulse bomb in this day of our Lord 2025. This is what the South American region can really bring you here in Factor X. This is exactly the start they're wanting here. Lamont, like I kind of talked about, this DPS line for Pumas needs to step up here because they are the linchpin in this entire team.
Yeah, and now Lamont forced out really early, needs to try to build up towards that EMP. But ultimate's quickly becoming a factor for both sides. Eli has that bullshot. Glitch has had a lot of success on that D.Va throughout the playoffs. Is trying to continue that here, but Tizzy is doing a really good job of giving them a run for their money. But Tizzy does get pretty low, perhaps overplaying their hand just a little bit, as Dex, both of these teams setting forth what could be the final fight of this map.
Tidal Blast and Nano out here. Glitch could be able to find Null. That's exactly what you're looking for here if you're Pumas. But Pumas getting a little bit more here, Hunter.
Ooh, yeah, and Eli gets rid of one, and they're able to clear things around. Tizzy is going to be able to get out. Well, I was going to say get out alive, but no, takes perhaps a tactical reset, gets back, but 90% on the board. You've got to be happy with that, and heck, LCS holds on to that B, and Tizzy still has the mines on top of it.
And Bert not that far away from an overclock here. Same thing though could be said for Lamont and Pop-Lots on the other side here. So if you're Factor X, even though you saw a couple ultimates come out there from the other side, you still have to be very wary that there's other ultimates about to be online here for Pumas. Glitch so that bomb is going to be a rebacking tool, or it could potentially be used to really clean out the mines from Tizzy, because that could be something that really gives Factor X a lot of momentum towards the point, especially where you already see Tizzy just rolling straight to the backline. There's the mines.
Yeah, and Bert trying to get something going right now. Gets Eli especially low. Glitch knocked out of the mech, is forced to use the bomb here because this is still fun to fight territory. And LCS, he's going to pull that beat a little bit early, and Pig Boy ends up being the first to go down. So easy recontention here, and yeah, with that being the case, a recontention might have turned into a recapture as Bert got to run for the hills, anti, but is able to survive. Puma's going to take back over, and a Deadeye, the only ultimate on the board.
Tizzy making the swap over here to the Zarya now. We kind of saw this tease from Glitch early on, but we didn't see it much here. I think Tizzy going over to Zarya right now, you really need to build up fast here because Glitch and everyone on the other side from Moose has these perks ready to go. Lamont, Deadeye, Eli not that far away from Ebola, and FX about to have Nano here, Hunter. You could really start to see a situation here where Puma starts to take the momentum away from Factor X here and doesn't let it go.
Yeah, good bubble though. Lamont not able to find the finish right there after a great sleep. Point gonna flip over. It's back to 99% overtime. Someone's got to get a touch, but unfortunately, Glitch is out of the mech, taking care of Lamont, taken out of the Deadeye, and it's all a matter of time. Bolo's gonna be nothing. Factor X starting strong, 100 to 65, but both teams putting up an excellent fight to get things going.
Yeah, absolutely. I think the swap there to that Zarya, like I said, it was going to be very key, especially if they were able to build up fast. Yeah, they didn't get perks, but that's not what I was necessarily talking about. I was talking about getting a high charge, because Glitch had nothing that they could really do against Zarya on the other side, and that's what happened there. Once Glitch got out of that mech, well, that fight was pretty much done and dusted there for Pumas. Factor X was going to win it no matter what, and that's exactly what happened there. Looks like we're going to see both teams, though, stick with the Russian this time around, but other than that, really no big swaps here. LCS, though, maybe making the only one as they go over to Ana and Tizzy with a little bit of a late tease here, showing us a lot of different dive tanks. But Winston on this map, I'm not against it. Looks like, though, they're going to be sticking with D.Va here. Still go. I don't think it's going to be long, especially with Glitch on the other side playing Zarya. It might be one life.
Yeah, it might just be. We'll see what the case is going to be. We saw that Zarya versus the D.Va contest in quite a few different series, and last time didn't work the best when it came to Glitch, and Glitch kind of learning a little bit of the lesson here out on the Zarya as Tizzy wants to try to make it happen. But Eli, first person to get extremely low, eventually going to get some care, but maybe drops in a little too far. Gonna get chased down, but eventually gonna get the care they need. But Lamont cannot be told the same thing. And for Factor X, it's going to be a good fight to get them going as they kind of just play a war of attrition. They take over the point first, and Pumas just can't really do much about it.
Yeah, I mean, at the same time, you kind of talked about there, it was a little bit of a war of attrition, but Factor X didn't really aggress into it much. Pigboy was really the only one that was kind of distracting a little bit of Pumas there, getting Eli low, forcing out a lot of utility there pretty early on. Tizzy was doing everything you wanted there from the D.Va into that case against the Zarya, where they were staying back, not really allowing the Zarya to find much value there. Glitch, though, already giving up on the Zarya after one life, going straight over to the D.Va now themselves here. But look at LCS Pigboy Burt, very, very high on their ult charge. Yeah, FX, though, and Eli, not that far away either, as you see the dive in onto the high ground.
Yeah, good stick. Burt sitting at literally 1 health. Got a little bit of care at the last second to keep them going. But you're looking at a potential flip. It does come through. I was going to say for free, but no, instead we get a little bit of an exchange back and forth. FX and Pigboy down, but Burt also falls over. So Factor X struggling a little bit as Anti comes through directly onto Glitch, who needs to sustain for a mech, doesn't get it. And it's going to be on the back of Eli and Poplots to try to pull this one back. But unfortunately, the numbers game may be becoming too much. Even with the pick to Lamont, it's not going to be enough to salvage this fight.
Lamont trying to do what they can here. LCS will fall, so it will be a little bit of a staggered fight here now for Factor X, but they have control of the point. However, Tizzy is on one at the moment, finding a couple huge kills. Burt taking a little bit of a rest. Doesn't necessarily matter, though. FX still finding Pigboy. Here's the thing, though. If you're Factor X, look at what you have here. You're about to have all 5 of your ultimates. I understand why you're trying to push up here, but you really didn't need to do that. Yeah, Pumas doesn't have all 5 ultimates ready to go here, but all they really need is one ultimate to flip the tides of a fight.
Yeah, now we're going to get pushed back, and maybe Eli in the wrong place at the wrong time, but actually works in their favor with the Nano now on top of them. Rough spot to be in if you're LCS. A tidal wave is used to keep them going, and now Eli has a Nano, a tidal wave directly on them, but is still standing momentarily, gets a big nade in their favor, but it doesn't matter, beats out. Poplots just not there fast enough, and Lamont on top of that has the pulse spot. I mean, it is disaster here for Pumas.
Hunter, I came into this series talking about the fact that Factor X really hasn't played a serious match outside of maybe CGL in like a week or so. They look like a team that just played a serious match only yesterday. They are on it, on firing on all cylinders here. Pumas starting off a little bit slow, but we've been able to see him bounce back here pretty late in the last one. I expect them to do it here. Bullet shot bomb gonna be ready for them. Bomb the only thing ready right now for the side of Factor X. Tizzy might have to use it here, but right now, if you're Pumas, you have to touch.
Well, their touch is Lamont, so they can't get there. So that's map 1 done and dusted. Lamont with a touch. They got hunted down. And Factor X are the ones to start out strong here. They looked fantastic throughout that whole series. But honestly, big standout to get things started. Pigboy. But Lamont actually gets that play of the game. What beats that 3K pulse? Am I crazy?
I mean, you might be. But no,
Oh.
it should, honestly, like, that 3K pulse bomb really set the tone of, I think, this entire series pretty early on there. And Pumas, I mean, they kind of led themselves right into that pulse bomb. Basically, all gathering up in a small room, pulse bomb, yeah, well, if it sticks to one person, does a decent amount of damage. If you're close together, it doesn't really matter if it's stuck to one person. It can be stuck to all 3, all 4, all 5 of the other team. Someone's dying, and just that time, it was 3. But Factor X, a great start for them here. And one big thing that we were seeing there towards the end of that second point, the fact that Null was finding a lot of picks there on their own. 13 picks for them, third highest elims on the team for them, out elimming Burt on their own team, DPS, and out elimming basically everyone on the other side of Pumas, who the most elims from them was Lamont with 8.
Yeah, it's honestly really impressive overall because we don't get to see that a ton from the support category. And in the day and age we live in, where for the longest time it was, hey, you and me got to play together. We're playing simply to defend ourselves. We're not playing to be the aggressors. But when you're on characters like these Anas, like these Wuyongs, you have a lot of potential to find these picks if someone just happens to leave themselves exposed. Especially with the fact that Wuyong's primary allows you to go around these walls. So even if you are hiding around the corner, if you're Lamont, sometimes it doesn't matter. Sometimes you're still going to get caught out and there's not a lot you could do about it. But this is where we're going to see the first instance of potential shuffling around, at least in terms of styles potentially, because now bans are going to come back into effect. We'll find out about those momentarily. What we do know is that we are going to our second map, Hybrid. Getting out of the way as we're heading to good old, I wanted to call it Scrims Row, honestly. Good old Kings Row.
You could have. I mean, Kings Row, I feel like a very safe bet here for either one of these teams, whoever lost, just to go there. Because, like I always say with Kings Row, you bring the series there because you feel confident that you're going to be able to win there. Or even if you lose, have it be very, very close to where maybe you get some momentum back your way there. That was not necessarily the best map there for Pumas. And Hunter, that might be the worst map that we've seen for them in this lower bracket run. Because really, I think there's one map they kind of were iffy on against Goodfellas. But other than that, it was domination from them here. This is the first time that they've been humbled a little bit since being knocked down here to this lower bracket. So Kings Row being our second map is not, in my opinion, a really good map pick for them. And we have our first ban already. No Ana this time around. Very, very interesting ban coming out there.
Yeah, but I do not hate it at the end of the day. Ana is still a pretty strong character. It gets paired up really well with that Wuyong as well. So it is going to make it a little more difficult. And maybe this is a situation where, hey, we don't want to have to worry about that anti, because there were times where multiple times people got caught by antis and kind of died as a result of not being able to be healed away, or just bubbles weren't available in that situation by glitch. So we'll see what Factor X want to ban in kind. It's either got to be a tank or a DPS. I think there's a couple things they could consider here. Maybe you could get rid of Glitch's Diva in this situation right here. That's a very potential pick. I think this is a map where Glitch could definitely bring it out a time or two. But no, the Zarya is actually going to be cut down at the knees, so the Russian Powerlifter not present in this King's Row.
I don't hate the ban coming out here, honestly, because it allows you to play something like Orisa, like Ramatra, one of those heavy brawl tanks, because Zarya right now has really been used to kind of slow down those brawl tanks, kind of slow down wrecking balls, which is what we did see from Tizzy map 1 there for a little bit. So you want to get, and Diva as well, which we did see from Glitch. So in my opinion, while it's kind of a neutral ban, it really does favor a little bit more Factor X, considering Tizzy seems like they really want to play the wrecking ball, and they were only forced off it because Glitch was able to get some momentum back on Ruins. But heading into our second map here, I mean, Pumas, this is not necessarily the make or break here for them, but Hunter, I have to remind you, we were questioning about this a little bit earlier. I believe the series is 2-0 right now.
Yeah, this was something that I have to still personally confirm, so I don't want to personally say one way or the other. In fact, actually, Redder, you are in chat. You can confirm for us, actually. When you hear this, please let us know, because in EMEA, SR Paycheck got a one-map advantage from coming in through the upper bracket. Is that the case for this? And I apologize that I am sounding unprofessional as hell about this, but this was a point of contention because this didn't happen for Oceania from what I heard. So, you know what? We'll find that out pretty shortly. I'll keep my eyes on the chat, but also have my eyes on this match as we are ready to go as Factor X on the attack and Pig Boy looking for a headshot.
And Tizzy coming out here on the Ramatra. Like I said, without the Zarya there, you could play a little bit more of these brawl tanks, so Ramatra, Orisa back on the table now. And Tizzy, they want to show us his Ramatra here. Pig Boy going to go right back over to the Tracer that they had an excellent map on last time. LCS, though, being back on this roster here for Factor X, they can play a variety of supports. They're really allowing Null to be able just to play this Wuyang here. LCS is going to pick up whatever role they need him for.
Yeah, 100%. Tizzy on the Ramatra is indeed going to be pretty interesting, but Glitch traditionally using that Diva that we saw so much throughout the run, especially throughout these collabs as well as Tizzy, using a lot of the cooldowns early on, is struggling a little bit as Eli is hoping to get in their face, and Eli we got to see a lot from, but Glitch is knocked out of the mech early on, is not going to live, and now this is where everyone needs to try to reset, try to get out, but it's LCS who's getting pick after pick, as that's going to be the first point cleared away pretty quickly here for Factor X.
Yep, first point going to be capped here, and that's what I was expecting to see from Pumas. A little bit of a swap there from Glitch. They really want to play Diva, and I think you're really starting to see Factor X make these bans around wanting Glitch to be stuck on that Diva for a little bit. So now over to the Orisa. While Tizzy is in a little bit of a worse spot battle-wise, still you kind of feel a little bit more confident with it, especially when they're finding out that DPS line that we really did say, Hunter, if you can get rid of them for Pumas, you put yourself into a good spot.
Yeah, and it's not a great spot as, despite everybody getting decent spawns here, they're going to lose out on that archway, and now you're coming into a thing where you're going to have all 5 ults, realistically, if you're Factor X, honestly.
Yeah, I mean, Bert kind of lagging behind, but that's not the biggest deal here. You're going to have both your support ultimates. You're going to have Annihilation, Pulse Bomb. We've already seen do a lot this series. The other side, I mean, yeah, they're going to be able to have 3, but I don't think you necessarily want to use all of them in one fight here. However, if you're Pumas, you might need to just try to get some momentum back. The Tidal Blast, gone, as Noel uses it and finds himself back in the spot.
Yeah, now Pig Boy sat in the back is kind of surrounded, but they're going to push up a little bit because you don't want to face somebody who could run forever and ever. And somehow Eli, of all people, gets caught out. Now, if you're Glitch, you have to go all in, try to push that back line. You get rid of one. Don't get rid of a second, though, as Tizzy hanging around still has that Annihilation sitting handy, ready to go. And Glitch needs a little more care. In fact, Tizzy goes down before they can actually activate a Pulse Bomb sticks. Only going to get one, but it's a necessary one. But with Pig Boy down, the readjustments have to be made, but the Glitch needs to get back in time.
But honestly, this is what you wanted here if you were Pumas. You just want a little bit of a slowdown so you can catch your breath, the regroup. You look at yourself now. You have 4 ultimates coming up here. Well, Factor X invested three ultimates in that last fight. Yeah, they still have Annihilation. Yeah, they still have Overclock. 2 ultimates that are very, very scary. But you're walking into 4 other on the other side. However, make it 2!
Oh boy, not looking great, and now, oh, that's a rough spot for Poplots and FX to be right now. They're surviving well with each other as Recall expanded. They're hiding away. Them living is super important. Honestly, Poplots might have to consider going with the beat here for them both, as FX is going to get taken down by LCS. Poplots is not going to be able to pull that beat, has to run entirely for the hills, and honestly, they might give me for one more touch, but it'll be rough.
Poplots is still kind of hanging around looking for that touch. They're going to decide against it. Just give up the second point for free. And almost 5 minutes on the time back here. And Hunter, I mean, in the past, we've seen this third point be something that's very difficult. The Terror Surge out the Immortality Field, basically going to negate anything that Glitch would have found from that there. And you already lost Lamont, so at this point, I think you're just kind of playing for corner.
Yeah, you are. Eli is hanging around, does still have that Death Blossom beat is there. It's aggro. We could be looking at a big one, but Eli is deciding to hold on the trigger. Might be waiting just a moment, but LCS eventually gonna be hunted down. Pulse Bomb, another one out from Pig Boy. Is not gonna stick though, as Tizzy getting burnt away little by little. Annihilation eventually gets forced down. Here we go, from the top row, we could see Eli potentially looking to go for it. He's gonna pull the trigger, gonna get rid of one, and eventually hunted down is gonna be Noel. Tizzy taking down in succession. Eli gets a big 3K. Gonna stop the momentum of Factor X for the moment.
You're able to catch a breath right now if you're Pumas. Yeah, you just invest a couple ultimates there, but hey, you got rid of the Annihilation. Pig Boy looks like they used a Pulse Bomb in that fight. Granted, you're walking now into 2 support ultimates from the other side here for Factor X, but you have your own Consumer Rush here. You have to play a little bit smart here, though, if you're Pumas. You can't be really aggressive, but they want to be aggressive.
Yeah, and with Tidal Wave out, it is going to get rid of Glitch, and now that playing close is going to not pay off as much as it potentially could have, as Poplots going to help stall out. Lamont going to run for the hills. Get all the way back to the spawn rooms, as Bert is gonna have this overclock around the corner, and Lamont doesn't get saved.
That's just a little bit costly right there for Pumas, but right now, still 3 minutes on that time bank. You have to look at it like this. You've been able to get rid of 2 here. You want to try to at least get rid of another 2 here, and hell, even get the whole fold here. But no, the full hold here. But right now, you're gonna have Terror Surge. You're gonna have Bola at some point in this fight. Bert, though, hey, they found 2 last time. They're looking to find that same success here again.
Yeah, and Glitch is held up in the corner, sitting so close to a potential Terror Surge, and is sitting literally at nothing right now. Needs to be kept alive as Recall comes through. Double ulti comes through. Tizzy gets rid of the Bola while Glitch gets rid of that Pulse Bomb. And now Glitch has been sitting on the teetering edge of death this entire time, as Tizzy eventually can be brought back, gets out of there with the skin of their teeth. Glitch hanging around, still has a Terror Surge, waiting for a target, but honestly, isn't gonna need it as we get rid of one. Glitch, though, eventually needs a little bit of care, as Tizzy is gonna take a reset, as Poplots gets the credit for that kill and will now have to beat online.
And Bert
Ooh.
finding Glitch is a little bit of a costly mistake right there. However, I think you're still going to see Factor X's regroup here. So, hey, another minute off the board here, Hunter. Glitch, Poplots, Eli all have ultimates ready to go. FX not that far behind here. Tizzy, though, a bomb here. Yeah, it could be used as a remaking tool, but we could see it go a little bit aggressive here. And we've seen bombs in the past, especially in the South American region, actually find a decent amount of value here. But you really have to watch out. LCS has that animation coming online here. That could be something that gets rid of Glitch really, really quickly.
Yeah, and this beat's gonna be really important from Poplots right here. This is gonna be very important. In fact, Big Boy being down might not be to be extended. They're going in with that Katsune rush. Weird separation as Bert is literally in the middle of nowhere. He's gonna slide out and actually stay alive. And this is where everything could change. B comes up online. Eli doesn't get it though. So Eli is going to need care. Eli might have to pull up the risk of a century hanging around. But unfortunately, I think this is gonna be a stall game more than anything else. Hoping to stay alive long enough. Unfortunately won't, as they need to set up for one final touch.
Bomb, Terra Blast, Tidal Wave, and Overclock about to be online here for Factor X. There's another eat there, as Tizzy has been hungry all series.
Yeah, about to have a full course meal here soon. Tizzy is going to right directly into the face of Lamont, taken care of, and now Glitch has to try to be the hero for the squad. Unfortunately, another great immortality field, and Bayla is going to go for the Death Blossom and gets eaten up. And that is going to be a completion right there. 57 seconds on the clock. Right side is they get it to under a minute, so all you have to do now if you're Pumas is finish the map. Doesn't matter if there's time or not.
Yeah, I mean, that's what I said going into that kind of last push there. They got down to 3 minutes. I said, hey, if you can get down 2 more minutes, you'll feel really, really good. You would love to have the full hold, but that's a little bit of a questionable thing right there. They're able to get under that minute. Like you said, a very, very important thing for Pumas here. And I mean, Pumas got better as that round went on. Factor XO was still able to find ways around them here, but if you're Pumas, you have to kind of take the you have to take the good with the bad there from that round. The good was, hey, you were able to win some team fights, you're able to slow down Factor X there, and you're able to beat them kind of handily at points, but at other times, Factor X looked like they knew exactly what they needed to do to beat them in every situation. And I mean, right now, I'm still kind of looking for that DPS line here for Pumas to really show up like they did in the 2 lower bracket games for themselves.
Yeah, obviously they were both able to get off of like really weird beginnings. Let's remember that throughout their series is they didn't have the strongest of starts, but they found themselves able to bounce back in a lot of situations, and this is where we need to see them bounce back in very dominant style. But at the end of the day, you have to start somewhere. Lamont, remember, did show off that Symmetra quite a lot in some of their previous series. In fact, it was one of the reasons why they won that Lijiang Tower from their last series. This was back against, that was against Garfo, I believe, the ones they did it against. But it's found success throughout that. Lamont is currently wielding it. We'll see if it's just for a TP or maybe, yeah, they're going to stick with it.
I mean, I like this, especially with Tizzy playing the D.Va on the other side. Remember, Zarya's banned out, so there's nothing you could really do here against a D.Va. So the Symmetra might actually be a really, really good counter here to it, because it's going to force Tizzy to play back, and all that Pumas, I think, is looking to do here is just get rid of the tank from the other side, because normally that leads to a lot of good things, Hunter.
Yeah, and you see Pigboy hang around, recall, expended, as everyone's kind of hanging around. Glitch, though, is in a weird area, needs to try to get out. In fact, I think just barely does, honestly. Now you have to take some time and get everybody's health back together, because they're doing a good job surrounding, but Factor is doing a good job also playing all the way back. They realize they don't want an upfront competition. That's what you want if you're Pumas. Unfortunately, Lamont is caught up in the wrong place at the wrong time. They're going to start being able to bulldoze their way through, and all you can do is try to hunt down somebody. Unfortunately, though, it doesn't look like anybody is going to go down. Glitch knocked out of the mech. And remember, Glitch can be staggered to Kingdom Come.
And they are here. They're going to be bullied back just into a corner where no one can see him. Lamont going over to the Widow, trying to find anyone out there. Tizzy finally gets rid of Glitch, as they think they understand that it's just better if they probably don't have the Widow take off one member's head and really open up a lot here for Pumas to come back in. Lamont going right back now over to the Tracer. Now you see Glitch going over to the Winston here. A little bit of dive here again, which, I mean, we expected to see. I just didn't think it would be Winston here. But if you are Glitch, you need to be focusing in on someone here with the rest of your team falling up behind it. Katsune Rush, though, out here as they try to get something going.
Yep, could be massive. Tidal Wave is alive, but you know who isn't? FX. And now Glitch Lamont sitting incredibly low. They have to completely back out here. Now 2 minutes on the clock already. We see the struggle coming through here. Poplots luckily still has to be for this fight, but it is all Factor X right now.
Yeah, And right now, Factor X is just having their way with everything right now. I mean, Glitch, you have to try to find something here. Pop-Lots, like you said, does have beat ready to go, but you're walking into a lot on the other side, and you're already down Lamont here. So it's probably just best if you fall back and don't stagger yourself anymore here. But Hunter, that time bank, no longer their friends.
Nope, not at all. Noel getting continuous hits around the corner here. And now you get another 3 fights in the situation, which is still a good amount of fights. And now they go aggro with the beat, and now Noel's on the corner, has to let off the tidal wave. Burt ends up going down as a result. The tidal wave going to explode. Glitch gets super low, stunned out. And now we're down to a 4v4. Unfortunately, heals hard to come by. And now with as late as people are dying, Burt is going to get back with plenty of time to spare.
Oh, absolutely. Burt's going to be able to get back here before Pumas is really even able to get set back up here. Pop-Lots, now, this is what I said all the way back in map 1. When are we going to see the duel here with the Wu Yangs? But it looks like they decided to second-guess themselves there, as now Glitch goes over to Orion. Null, though, finding Lamont and Hunter. I mean, I don't know if you can see it like I am right now. I don't think you can. But basically, Null is just flinging these orbs around the corner and finding hit after hit.
No, incredibly. To the point where it's been incredible what they've been able to do, but you still have a way here. Pulse bomb out. No, though, gets hit with it. Lamont getting a nice stick. And Tizzy not able to eat in time. You see Eli forcing everyone to recall back to the high ground. Should be able to get at least one tick in. But again, Lamont gets caught up by Pig Boy. Pig Boy hits the recall just in time. And what should have honestly been a really simple fight ends up going way out of their favor, but Tizzy is knocked out of the mech and is not going to retain the mech either. Importantly enough, Pulse Bomb goes through. Glitch is still hanging alive. The Mega Health Pack needs to come back from them, though, when it will.
Let's try on those two there, though, could be huge. Pumas just need to play fast once they get all back out here. And you already see Lamont trying to do what they can. That tick, though, will go away.
No.
Burt, though, has been a dead-eye throughout the series, getting rid of Lamont, who has been hit or miss so far. But there's the Amp Matrix coming out from LCS.
Yeah, and now it's on the back of Eli. Eli has to be the one to do this right now. You get Tizzy super low. He's going in, stunned out, and this has to be the one for the glory. Gets one, gets two, gets three, gets rid of four. People need to be able to make it back, though, in time. Lamont makes the way back onto the scene. Eli, the hero of Chile, as they're going to hold on and keep fighting.
They'll be able to keep it alive here right now, and somehow, some way, this is the kind of things you want to see from Pumas here. Just being full held there, I mean, Hunter would be really, really difficult to come back from that. The mentals would be kind of low there, but still there's a lot of time left in the series. However, there's still a lot of time left in this map now. Ultimates, though, were kind of expended there from Pumas. Granted, though, they're not that far away from 3, and on the other side, about to have another overclock from Burt, which, again, they've been doing a lot with that. Null, though, that tidal blast, you have to be ready for that to come out, because they have been finding a lot off that. But this is what you want to see going on here for Pumas. Lamont finding first picks.
Yeah, it is brilliant, and now you're able to keep pressing up. You have Pig Boy hanging around in the back, who is just going to be able to keep causing a bunch of disruption. But the weird part here is that Tizzy is still going to be over on this Malgun. To be fair, going into a Reinhardt, I kind of like it. You just burn away that shield. You take away that Ryan's effectiveness, because without the shield, there's not a whole lot you can do. As going to hold that corner around Tizzy, waiting for the opportunity to get back into this engagement. As you see the pressure being thrown directly over into the face. Tidal Wave is being used right now, trying to find one body. And a nice pin over on LCS, who's taken out of the fight. But Tizzy thinks this is still winnable and is trying to go in and find a little something. As Glitch's shield is eventually going to burn away, but Lamont taking this time to pull it back. Beat's still available, but for the time being, going to be held on to. Oh my god.
Pig Boy will find EFX, or FX there. Glitch still going to be able to shut down Burt. You still have to deal with Pig Boy, and there you go. Lamont going to be able to get one back on that Tracer duel here. And if you're Pumas, I would throw all 3 members on the cart right now, because you could probably get this point here before Factor X comes back out, but Factor X going to be rushing back out here right now. And it looks like they're just going to give them the point. I like this from Factor X. Actually, no, Pig Boy going for it. Not going to get it. 2.5 minutes here for Pumas to complete the map.
Yeah, 100% in this situation. We get into this next one momentarily, as Hunter did a little something, but it doesn't matter. We'll keep things nice and focused. We are getting rid of people one after another, and eventually going to see Glitch forced back around the corner. Ladies and gentlemen, I have somehow lost the HUD. I don't know how I managed it, but I have lost the HUD. Just give me a moment. But what we do know is that there's going to be a quick little reset for the next fight.
And right now, I mean, you have to take these quick resets here. If you're Pumas, you cannot really be bleeding time because you do not have that much on your side here. Yeah, you have about all 5 of your ultimates ready to go here.
What?
Shadow coming out, but it misses Tizzy. That was the only person they were going after, but they still might be able to find him. Granted, though, you want to get a little bit more, especially since you also invested the beat.
Yeah, Glitch Rest of the shield being taken away as the HUD has returned lovely to us. Glitch sitting super low, needs to stay alive a little while longer. FX getting rid of Pig Boy is now a minute and a half on the clock here. Pulse Bomb, Kitsune Rush, Death Blossom. This is very doable for Pumas.
Damage still on the other side. That's what I'm looking at from LCS, and Tizzy does have the Annihilation ready to go. A great stall tactic that could come out here from Factor X. Eli, though, they might be the savior here yet again, unless Lamont's Pulse Bomb does something like what Pig Boy's Pulse Bomb did on that first map here. Continue to rush out as now Pumas tries to get something going.
They basically solo LCS there. A little bit of bowling. Unfortunately, as Tizzy gets deleted without being able to use the ult, and now it's about Pig Boy trying to stall for as long as they possibly can. All the heals in the world, Burt, LCS, Null, all are going to have viable touches, but they need to get out there. Unfortunately, the two people that can sustain the most can't get out there. Pulse Bomb comes out. They're going to finish the map. Just 8 seconds less than Factor X, but now it is winnable for both sides.
8 seconds, Hunter. 8 seconds being the difference after what you could talk about Factor X basically almost putting on a clinic in the first round, only to kind of stumble towards the end where you really saw Pumas, you know, solidify on defense. Get it down that I believe was 58, 53 seconds. The fact that it's an 8-second difference after Pumas didn't get the cap on that first point until way deep in overtime off the back of a 4-man pulse bomb from Eli. I mean, you are talking about, you're already writing the story for this series right here for Pumas if they're able to come back and at least win this map. The fact that that one pulse bomb changed this entire series might be something that one Death Blossom might be something we talk about here a little bit later on. But right now, you see them coming out of the gate here. Glitch at least teasing us they're going to stick with the Rhyme, but hey, they're the attacking team. They have time to go swapping through all these heroes. And on the other side, I mean, Tizzy back over to the Diva here. I like it. It worked out for them pretty well, but once it fell apart, it really, really fell apart for them.
It 100% did, and you saw the train of momentum go with it, and that's what we have seen represented throughout this entire region, throughout this entire, honestly, I don't even want to just say season, this entire year that we've gotten to see them. That is how it has gone down, and now with only a minute on the clock, we saw them struggle in those first couple of fights, and now they need to be able to burst through this time around, or else it's going to be potentially a draw or lose situation.
Glitch going over to the Diva here. They want to play a little bit fast. Lamont, though, looking for any headshots they can. I like it, but they're not going to be able to find anything here. They need to quickly swap and regroup with their team because one team fight might be all you get here.
Yeah, with Glitch knocked out of the mech, this is potential worst case scenario. If you can manage to knock Tizzy out, that's great. But the bright side is they get rid of them quickly, 30% on the board. I think this is where Glitch might already go and make a potential swap. Maybe back to that Reinhardt, or maybe not, as Burt moves up pretty aggressively. But Pigboy goes down.
That's a mistake on Factor X's part there. They did not need to over-aggress like that. Now, if you're Pumas, you have to go here. You have to play fast. Pigboy has been a constant problem for their backline this entire series long here, so getting rid of them early on is huge.
Yeah, you see a big fight going up on that high ground. Everybody forced around. If you start to get progress moving through, bunch of processes going on in the backline. Eli eventually forced to get out of there. One tick goes through. It is now a winnable situation, but you want to go and claim the whole dang thing. Eli in the backline. Going in from the top row, hoping to find someone. Burt gets low. Burt gets taken out, and now Tizzy. Only so much DM remaining. Eli trying to stay aggressive, trying to go in, but still has to mind the tension a little bit. They go in all aggro, trying to stop everything that's happening in this backline. And eventually, a bomb is going to be the thing that pulls it back through. Glitch able to remech, and now it is ults galore for both sides. As Tizzy taken out of the mech, Pumas will proceed to their archways.
But here's the biggest thing. It was an even ult trade. A bomb for an Amp Matrix there. I mean, that was best case scenario for Pumas is now. I understand leaving one person on the card, but I feel like, you know, maybe putting two might be the way to go here, just get a little bit more progress here. But they want to play up, they want to play fast. Glitch, though, they have to be very careful. They do not have the bomb here this time around, so a DMAC might mean the end here. Death Blossom already! What is going on? But they're getting progress.
And that's the thing, they might be playing for that progress. In fact, Poplot's gonna hit the beat. Eli doesn't get it, but that's perfectly fine. Pigboy, honestly, if I'm Pigboy, yeah, right now, I'm going back to this cart, and I'm fighting the 1v1, but Pigboy has been spotted out. Eventually, forced to hit the recall, barely managed to get out of there alive, but now there's no ults remaining. Tidal Wave goes in. Pigboy has a pulse bomb ready. They're gonna get stunned away in the backline, but nobody goes down quite yet. Glitch needs a little bit of care to stay alive, but eventually should get knocked out of the mech. Will. And it could be down to a couple of bombs to pull this one back around, and that it will. 50 meters will eventually be the finish line for Pumas. It is pretty solid. All things considered, considering the fact they nearly didn't capture the first point at all, this is fantastic for them.
I mean, getting that 50 meters is huge, but I understand the idea of playing very aggressive up, trying to find a team fight win before they even got back to the cart. I just don't necessarily know if that was the thing I would have done there, but hey, if it would have worked out, Hunter, we would probably be looking at Pumas getting that second point almost essentially for free there in that overtime round. They only get 50 meters though. However, Arches is now still a thing that Pumas can hold, but it's really a one fight scenario at that point there. If you lose it, it's probably gonna go over to Factor X either way, or whoever loses that fight, it's gonna go, or the map is gonna go over to the other team here. But right now, what does Factor X show us on the offensive side? Well, they have time to make a lot of swaps here. Glitch though.
I like it.
Stick with the Rhine here. Yeah. I like it if Glitch never dies. The moment Glitch dies, they have to immediately make a swap over to something else. So Hunter, essentially at this point, Glitch either has to be the first one to die or the last one to die, making sure that the first tick was not capped yet.
True. And on the other side of that, though, remember that if they lose that first fight, the next fight is going to happen at Archways. Which, to be fair, if you're running a Rhine Sim, it can have a lot of advantages. But the one thing that's really going to hurt them in that situation is going to be the supports. Null and LCS have those ults that can shut that down without too much difficulty, quite honestly. So, go into this next fight, and they seem to immediately know where Eli is at, by the way, as Eli has to go run for the hills already.
Lamont also kind of running for the hills right now, trying to play in the corner right there. I mean,
Lamont?
if they can Tizzy here, that'd be huge. Lamont, though, needs some help here. Going to be able to get from their teammates here. But right now, Tizzy is often fighting Eli on their own while the rest of their team is dying.
Yeah, and Glitch is literally sitting on no health. Did, like, I think one of the most risky things I've seen Glitch do, which is saying something, and still manage to live and get the pick.
And that's what this comp is right now here for Pumas. They really have to be very careful with it because, yeah, you have very mobile supports, but it's not a lot of support that comes from here. Glitch though already charging right back in.
Ooh, weird trades. Eli going down does sting quite a bit, but now you have Lamont still hanging around. Glitch stays alive. It's not going to take too long for Eli to get back into the fight either, but Pickboy and Bird will be back first.
And right now, Hunter, the final fight territory right here, our Factor X, they have to get a touch. Tizzy will probably at least get that here for them, so overtime will definitely commence. But there's really no ultimates outside of the title blast from Null coming up here. Yeah, and you lose effect.
Yeah, and now you have their Glitch. You need to do everything in your power to build up this ult charge or get somebody out. Pickboy somehow goes down to the turrets of all things, and now TP gonna get everybody around, move everybody into weird spots, gets a hit right onto Bird, finds close. They're coming up to this shatter. But they gotta hold on to it. But Eli's still there, gets rid of two. Tizzy's low. There's a bomb right around the corner. And they gotta try to survive long enough to make that come into form. Lamont getting rid of another. You might have to put everything in the kitchen sink to get rid of Tizzy, who doesn't remake in time! And through the back of Eli, Pumas pull this mat back. They will tie up the series.
Somehow, some way, Hunter. That is all that you have to say about this Pumas team here. Throughout this entire playoff run in the lower bracket, we talked about them essentially looking like giant killers, god killers. I think Factor X humbled them a little bit in that first map, and I almost think they humbled them here in map 2. But Eli's 4K pulse bump, again, somehow not getting play of the game, which is insane, because that right there was the difference maker in this entire map. That 4K, why did I say pulse bump? Death Blossom, that 4K Death Blossom. If that doesn't happen, Hunter, the map's over. Yeah. We're already talking about map 3, and hell, we're probably halfway through map 3 at this point. But it is now 1-1. This is what we were expecting from this series here. These two teams have been in this Masters tier in South America here for so long. Neither one of them has been able to taste that championship just yet. And now, hey, we're still 3 maps away from either one of these teams having a shot at having a chance, or at winning.
Yeah, already confirmed to have a map 5 here today. We'll see if it might go beyond that. But we're seeing what the situation's going to be, as we are going to push Esperanza, going to be the first, or I should say the third map of the series. But we're talking about the first ban here, and this shouldn't be a surprise whatsoever. Eli cut down at the knees as Reaper is the first banned.
Not a big shock, but on a map like Esperanza, it's one where Reaper, yeah, does find some value because Reaper's just strong right now, but you normally see a lot of teams kind of gravitate away from Reaper in certain situations. This might be one of those maps where it is that situation. However, dive tanks are kind of prevalent on this map. Reaper does do a decent amount of work against dive tanks, and I mean, hey, Eli took over that map and was a difference maker there. And Hunter, That was what I was looking for there from Pumas. I was saying, where's this DPS line that was doing so much for them throughout their lower bracket run here? I think they finally woke up here a little bit. Glitch, I think Glitch has been doing all that they can so far, and that's exactly what they've been doing through this playoff run for them in that lower bracket. They've just been a solid player on this team. Factor X, on the other hand, you have to kind of think that map got away from them. 5 minutes going into the final point, got whittled down to 1, almost full held, and you really have to imagine after letting up that first point, you have to think they're thinking, hey, we still got this. There's no way we let them cap, and then they cap, and it's probably second guessing themselves some situations. But this Factor X team has been around for a while, and like we mentioned, Hunter, both these teams playing in multiple leagues right now, whether it be Andromeda's CGL, they have this experience, and based on what we've been told by Redder, Factor X has never lost to Pumas before in any competition. I don't think they want this one to be the first.
No, definitely not a grand final. Definitely not with to be fair, while this isn't an EWC situation, this is a situation where the money difference is quite a bit for these squads. And just the fact of being able to go and win a title here and FACEIT, it does mean something to these squads. You don't want to go all the way just to lose it in the very last outing. And both these squads clearly representing, they have the ability to win this game here today by having these clutch moments. I mean, we talked about how much Piggy Boy was clutching up before, but hell, if we were talking about our previous games watching Pumas, you got to talk about Eli clutching up. You got to talk about Lamont doing so many things over on that Symmetra, and Glitch, who's been really consistent on the Diva and had some really good consistency on the Reinhardt as well, which, by the way, Reinhardt in the good old 2025, it's not common to see, but when it works, it definitely catches you off guard.
Reinhardt in a good old 2025 and almost 2026, Hunter. Think about that.
Good,
but second ban coming in here, right? Second ban coming in here now for Pumas. Wu Yang. A hero that we've only seen them touch once, didn't even see him come out of the spawn room with it here. We have only seen Factor X play this, and like I said, Hunter, at some point this series, I really thought Pumas would have to kind of say, okay, we have to play this Wu Yang, because look at all the value that Factor X has been getting from it so far. They have been doing whatever they want, it seems there, especially with Null on it. But now with no Wu Yang here, what's going to be the answer? We've already talked about how LCS is flexible on the support line, can play almost anything. What's Null's backup here? Because yeah, we saw a lot through the regular season, but they've been really just playing Wu Yang here as of late.
Yeah, we'll see. We could go down to the Ana break style, honestly, but no, it is the other tried and true tradition for both sides, potentially, the Lucio Kiriko. But obviously we're seeing swap ups on other sides of the board here. Another team wants to, I think for the moment, start out with Azaria Glitch, who has definitely played a lot of that Wrecking Ball representing, and Tizzy over on the Hazard. But to be fair, DPS-wise, not really changing up. Bird's going to keep at that consistency. Lamont versus Pig Boy is going to keep being one of the premier battles of this entire game here, as both teams going out the starting gate, hoping for momentum on a very momentum-heavy map.
Puma's going to be able to get set up here first, mostly because Glitch is on ball, so they can just roll through the map pretty quickly here. But Tizzy on this Hazard. Haven't seen Hazard yet all series long. Remember, it's banned out map 1 back on Ilios. And while that's a good map for Hazard, I just don't think we would have seen it anyway. But right now, Glitch already in the backline.
Yep, already trying to hang around, trying to do a little something. Tizzy, though, gets the first pick. And while you're doing a lot, if you're Glitch, unfortunately, the rest of your team is kind of dying away as Popblood's there to help clutch up a little bit. Unfortunately, I mean, we've just already reached past the point of no return, but Glitch gets a second one, so they might be able to get a quick regroup.
And there's no supports right now for Factor X. Tizzy pretty low, looking for health packs here, and Pig Boy only going to be able to get about 10 meters. I mean, well, yeah, Factor X technically won that first fight, because Glitch was able to stay alive, they're getting very minimal from it here. It's going to be another team fight here around this initial starting spot, as already 1 minute off the clock, and hell, Glitch, 70% of mines here, Hunter. We could see that at some point in this fight now.
Yeah, now LCS taken out early, a nice little wall to keep some separation, but instead Lamont gets themselves a second. Trying to go for a 3-course meal, as unfortunately for Tizzy, not long for the world. Eli gonna split up the kills 2 apiece, as they're gonna be able to take this lead forward, and Glitch and Lamont both close to their bombs.
And I'm looking over here at Tizzy right now. Do they stay on the Hazard? Yeah, I thought there might be a small chance to see Pig Boy, though. Finding Glitch out right there is huge here for Factor X. They need to get some momentum back their way, and getting rid of Glitch, who's just been a constant nuisance in your backline, is exactly how you do that there. But they're really not progressing forward, as I believe it's Lamont actually distracting them a little bit.
Yeah, Lamont's taking a ton of attention. Unfortunately, you cannot really take attention when you're in the spawn room. So that's going to slow things down majorly. Eli going to get slashed away, walled away. There's nothing we could have done there. Eli, I'm so sorry for your loss, but what we do need to see for Pumas is a total reset right now.
it's not gonna be a total reset. It's gonna be a pretty soft reset here. Glitch still alive, having Minefield ready to go. They're gonna be able to come in and just lay down the mines here. Lead is probably gonna go over here. Actually, no, it's gonna be very close, but still. Pumas holding on to lead. LCS though, first casualty.
Yeah, and now Pigboy throws it into Narnia, doesn't get anything out of it, has to be careful of those mines, and Pigboy is literally running for their life, trying to get the health pack. Does get it, somehow is alive. Unfortunately, their team cannot say the same. The support's eventually being taken care of. Pigboy is extending their life, but to be honest, they're kind of just extending the amount of time that they're gonna wait to get into the next fight.
Yeah, they're not going to catch that spawn wave with Bert, Tizzy, and Noel, so they're just going to be on their own. Granted, Tracer can get back there pretty quickly, but now you're essentially going to be rushing back out here to make sure Pumas does not get these forward spawns. Granted, Pumas does have beat, or about to have beat. They have Kitsune, they have Overclock. Those are really good ultimates here. We look at the other side, though. Factor X about to have 4 of their own here, so this is going to be basically a fight for the first point here. Kitsune Rush, though, out here early.
100% it is, and you see that downpour. Good cleanse, though. Gonna take it out of effect, and now with beat online, Bert might be forced to pull the trigger even more, but everybody gets deleted in quick succession. 47 meters will be the stopping point for the moment, as Glitch going to stall up for as long as they possibly can. Beverly is going to get out through the backside, gonna regroup with their team a different way.
Pigboy gonna try to get rid of Glitch here. That would be a huge pick off very late here, but Glitch should be able to get out for free. And just that stall right there is gonna allow Pumas to get really set back up here. Again, the lead's not gonna straight hands here. And that was a very costly fight there for Factor X, investing 3 ultimates, and they did win it. However, Overclock from Bert might be able to win the fight on its own here, but there's 3 ultimates about to be ready for the other side.
Massive to try to stop Bert. Bert caught in the wrong place at the wrong time. Now Tizzy being taken care of. It is a big back and forth exchange, and Pumas looking good right now. They maintain the lead. They get out 2 beautiful ultimates. They do trade out 2 of their own, but honestly, worth it.
Tizzy, though, making the swap here. The hazard not working. Going to see the Jungle Queen for the first time this series. And again, they're going to be rushing back out here to make sure that Pumas does not get these forward spawns here. Pole spawn ready to go right now for Factor X, but that's all they have to their name. Pole spawn and mines ready on the other side, Hunter. So no matter what, it's going to be a pretty explosive fight.
100% it's going to be an explosive fight, but we're keeping this one locked and loaded right now. Mine's ready to go for Glitch. Gonna send him directly down onto the point. Weird situation. Man, Tizzy just was in a world of hurt. Hit with the pulse bomb. You see a little bit more stall coming through from Pigboy, but inevitably it's going to head on over. Close spawns taken over here by Pumas as Tizzy. A little cringe in the chat.
I mean, you did see Bert find 1 pick there towards the end. It's not really going to matter since those forward spawns are right there. Lamont will be able to get back into the fight pretty fast here. So if you're Factor X, you want to win a team fight here because, granted, I mean, there's really no ultimate online here soon other than Noel's Kitsune Rush. Same thing for FX. But you cannot be losing people early on. Lamont, Hunter, this is what we've been wanting to see from this DPS line. And now that Pumas DPS line seems like they're firing on all cylinders.
100% and getting rid of one support, getting rid of another support. They are doing that in spades. SCZ just has to take the L, eventually goes down. Now that lead is going to extend for Pumas, and this ball working out beautifully. And to be fair, Glitch's ball has been phenomenal throughout the entire playoff so far.
Yeah, it's caused a lot of teams a lot of problems. Essentially, they've played every team in these playoffs now, and I don't think really any team's been able to truly solve it out here. Factor X are going to have Kitsune Rush not that far away from Beat, Pulse Bomb, and Rampage. Granted, Kitsune Rush and Beat about to be ready for the other side, especially with Eli's Overclock as well, Hunter. Like I said, this DPS line for Pumas back alive and kicking, but Eli certainly is not.
Yeah, and FX might not be long for the world either. Is being chased down. The rest of their team, though, seems to fall around them. Lamont's still in there, but Glitch and FX are just going to have to chill out, wait around. As the bright side, you do have Eli and Papos getting good spawns, but Lamont, I think, is just going to miss out.
No, Lamont, I think will just get it. They're just going to get it.
Yeah, barely.
Well, they didn't reset the spawns anyway. Kitsune Rush out here pretty early on. I mean, Pumas and both Factor X, they want to take an early fight.
Yeah, and to be fair, you managed to get out of it from both sides, so you managed to get the 1-for-1 trade. You do not mind that at all in the situation. To be fair, as, oh my god, FX gets rid of Pigboy. The Kitsune Rush is going to aid them a lot more, but Cleanse needs to be activated right here. B gets thrown out instead by Plopos to get everybody going. Eli going all in to get rid of them, but unfortunately, it does not work out. FX able to hang around Tizzy. Eventually, not long for the world, going to be taken care of. And for Pumas, it's another successful fight win. It's a good set of all trades for them.
And it's a huge stagger coming out here from them as well, because they basically trapped Tizzy and LCS on that side of the point. Pigboy is there by the bot, but they just kind of have to run away for their own life here, or else they're going to be staggered out here. And now, I don't think the pulse bomb coming out there, I mean, they're at least slowing down the card here, but now they're leaving themselves up for grasp there. And with Pigboy falling there, I mean, you might have seen some late contest there from Factor X. Now you're not. It's going to be a reset here for them. And Factor X invested a lot into that last fight there, Hunter. They have nothing coming up here for a while. Overclock ready for Eli. They can extend their lead here. It's already 63, trying to get it up to probably 100.
Yeah, and Tizzy is being given everything that Pumas got, and Tizzy has no care waiting. You do get a trade out, but to be fair, Eli being down is gonna make things slightly difficult, but Glitch is still alive. His health got rid of 2 already. Needs a little more help to get rid of the others as Pop gets extremely low. No, not able to finish them off, though, as Tizzy gonna go back over to the Mauk that they brought out on that King's Row.
And right now, you're starting to see Factor X. They're looking for answers, but I just don't think they're finding any here. The Malga swap is always kind of one of those ones that's like last-ditch effort. You kind of need something to go your way here. 2 minutes on the time bank here, though, Hunter. They still have time, but they need to get something going here fast. Pulse bomb out. Null able to actually teleport themselves away so it doesn't find them.
Yeah, big cleanse for FX to keep themselves alive a little while longer. Unfortunately, Bird said, no, I got different plans. But apparently so did Lamont. Tried to pull this one back around. It's just straight 4v4. People are burning away. Tizzy has got rid of one. Popwat's securely though. Unfortunately, the rest of their team is not succeeding away. Glitch already has 3 and has to hide away to stay alive. And eventually, it appears that Tizzy will fall over. Glitch is going to stay alive, holds onto the mines, and the lead is becoming... It's like you're looking at the side of a cliff right now.
85 meters and counting here, Hunter. If it was a cliff, well, hey, if you want to look at angles, it's above 90 at the moment, which is not good. But you look at Pumas here, 3 ultimates, about to be 4. There's the mines out, and Tizzy kind of in a bad spot right there. Going to be able to stomp some of them away. Consider rush out here, though, from FX as they look to complete this map here.
And they just might do it right here. Tizzy is getting up closer and closer. That's a nice little pile drive right there. Getting rid of 3. Pulse bomb's there. Tizzy taking care of no one else. Yes, in a rough area. Beat is right around the corner. LCS needs to stay alive long enough to get this online. Getting so desperately close. Is literally running for their life. Is playing fucking Subway Surfer up on the top rope. And eventually... gonna get stomped away. Glitch, though, is eventually going to fall down and burn away, so you might be able to see Factor X regroup, and they use the beat to do it.
Well, 137 meters right now. You're gonna have at least 3, 4, potentially even 5 fights to get all the way back to the other side of the map here, because essentially, Hunter, Pumas almost completed the map here. One thing I want to say, though, I haven't been able to mention it because Glitch just hasn't died. That's their 3rd death. They haven't died at all since really, I think, the first 2 minutes of this map here. Factor X has just not been able to shut down Glitch, and Glitch is a problem.
Glitch has been a massive problem, and Eli has been that as well. We're going to see a cage fight, but unfortunately, Tizzy may be trapping themselves away with the others. Does manage to get rid of one, but unfortunately, Bert not there to touch. Glitch may go down, but it won't matter. Pumas, their most dominant outing so far of this series, take the advantage 2-1. And for the first time, truly, Factor X find themselves on the back foot.
Yeah, Factor X, I mean, they look lost here at the moment. I really thought that the bans that came out this map were going to be a little bit good here for them. They got rid of Reaper. Like I said, though, Reaper was an interesting one because, yeah, you normally do see dive tanks on this map, but Reaper, even though they're strong, you still kind of see them be very iffy on this map. Wrecking Ball, though, for Factor X is a problem here, especially on maps as wide open as this one. It's going to be very, very interesting to see what Factor X, where they decide to bring us here next, because they really can't bring us to a map where Wrecking Ball can find a decent amount of value, because I think you just saw right there, unless they ban it out, Glitch almost has free reign. Yeah,
that's the choice you're going to have to make. You either have to go to a map where it doesn't really call for it, or you just have to ban it outright, and that's a concern in its own right, because inevitably, you're going to have to enter a situation where you have to prioritize which one is going to be better for you here, because banning it out means obviously it's available for the rest of the series after that, and you might want to save it for a situation where, hey, we know we're going into a certain map type where it's going to be really strong. One map type that's not going to be available anymore is going to be Escort. They're taking it over to Gibraltar, and we saw the Gibraltar that went on with this Puma squad. They were successful both times on this map. They looked really good on it, honestly. They had a little struggles going to second point on both of them, but outside of that, they ran forward, they took momentum through that first point, and they were able to manage to finish those first points pretty quickly.
Yeah, I mean, it's always interesting going to watch point because it seems like we're seeing this map pop up a lot more now recent. And yeah, it's because of the map pool change and everything like that, but we're starting to see teams go here. It's a very heavy dive map. Dive is strong right now, so it kind of makes sense in that. But Hunter, I'm just looking back at the stats from last map there. Poplots and Glitch only died 3 times. That's the least of anyone in the lobby right there. One other thing I was looking at, that DPS line for Pumas. I said it a lot already, and I'm going to probably continue saying it. They needed to come alive in the early part of the series. They're alive. And hell, Hunter, they might be more than alive at this moment. They might be on something here. Because they had 58 elims combined there, that map. You want to know what Factor X's DPS line had there combined? 25 elims to 17 deaths. It was very much a one-sided affair all the way throughout that map. Even though there are times where Factor X seemed to be getting it going, Pumas was just in cruise control, essentially.
Yeah, that's exactly how that situation went down. And now you have to be able to bounce back because we have seen everybody from this Factor X squad be able to do amazing things. We've seen it from Bird and Pigboy already in this series, what they can do. And this map is all going to be about getting that momentum back. And when we go to a map like Watchpoint Gibraltar, this is one of those points where that ability to do so is going to soar. Those DPS are going to have that freedom to kind of work around a little bit more. There's a lot more sidelines. There's a lot more top and bottom areas to work with. And it should play more into their favor. And the question is whether that's really going to help Bert and Pigboy out. Because Bert has found a lot of success on that Sojourner character, which, by the way, I'll mention, has not been bound out yet and would be a viable pick here for Pumas if they decided to go down that route.
I mean, Soj hasn't been banned out yet. We really haven't seen any hit scan banned out just yet here. I mean, I think the only DPS here we've seen banned out, has it been Tracer so far?
I think so. You might be right in that regard.
I think that's been the only ban we've seen so far, because I think we've been mostly focusing on tanks and supports so far. So Tracer being the only DPS banned out isn't that big of a surprise because Tracer's strong, but especially on a map like this where your hit scan does really matter, it wouldn't surprise me to potentially see the second ban be the hit scan, but no. It's actually going to be Tracer here again. My bad. Reaper was banned out last map, so I was right. Tracer was banned, but it's this map.
Yeah, and you know what? I think it's a brilliant decision because, again, Pigboy has been doing a lot on that character, and that's one of those characters that can get a lot of value on Gibraltar, so I like the pick overall. I think it's a smart pick, and it's not a risky pick either, honestly. That's the thing we have to really think about, is even this late into a series, there are risky bans that you might still want to have for a different time. So with this being the case, we go into this 4th map, we go into Gibraltar, where for Factor X, this feels like in some cases a must-win because at the very least, they need to gain some of their momentum back.
Yeah, and you have to remember, this is a best of 7 here, so first of 4. Backs are not against the wall just yet for Factor X, but they're getting there. They're getting a lot closer. The alleyway is not that much further back here for Factor X. And coming out of the gate here, they're showing us the hazard from Tizzy, which, let's be honest, Hunter, kind of maybe left us a little bit wanting a little bit more from it there. Glitch, though, going right back over to Diva, and I think the hazard will find a little bit more value against that since Wrecking Ball is gone here, this map. And you're getting rid of that one pretty early on here, especially if this series does go long, because now after this map here, you're going to basically guarantee you're going to be seeing the Wrecking Ball probably throughout. But like you kind of said, Factor X probably wants to really just get this series back to 2-2 and make it a best of 3 from there on out.
Yeah, you would absolutely love to do so, but you get started on the attack, you get to set the momentum. This is what Factor X is really hoping for here, to get out the gate, to go strong. We saw Lamont do this very same thing, the Symmetra on defense for Gibraltar. You see this in your ranked games at 2 in the morning. You don't see this in the FACEIT League Grand Finals, but here we are, bringing it to life as Bert has already been dispatched, and so has Pigboy.
And this is not the start the Factor X was looking for here, but they still have the time here to really get reset back up.
Massive.
TP is out there, but it doesn't look like anyone's actually going to be able to find it. Tizzy, though, needs to get some health here. LCS going over to the break here. I like this from them now, but you need to get something here if you're Factor X. You at least got the majority of Pumas actually on the low ground, and they're going to have to give up some space here because they're trying to rotate back up.
Yeah, this is found a really big slash that ended up knocking Poplots and I believe it was Lamont off of the high ground, so they had to go down this route. They had to do a full retreat, which means they're able to get at least partway through this underpass. But eventually, somebody is going to have to make a move, and Glitch ends up getting knocked out of the mech super early on, and that alone is devastating.
And that right there, you get rid of Glitch. I think if you're Factor X, you need to go in fast. Bola shot out! Finds a couple there. There's a lot of members of Factor X low on health.
Yeah, and Pigboy goes down, but LCS does manage to get a follow-up. Lamont, who can't build up that charge anymore. Tizzy takes a quick little nap that has awoken in time to try to find an assassination. You see FX is back on the other high ground. Weird place to be, but unfortunately for them, might be part of their undoing as Glitch knocked out of the map. You see Poplots hanging around. Is just going to like to die on this point as this first round here, honestly, is done and dusted. A good start here for Factor X.
A slow start, a very sloppy start from them. That first fight was one that they want to forget about, and hey, they forgot about it really fast right there, Hunter. It's like all my basketball coaches used to say, you have to have the brain of a squirrel. You forget something after 7 seconds, and that's exactly what they did right there. Now they're going to be ready for FX here, but you're walking into both support ultimates, and hell, almost all the ultimates ready to go here for Factor X. And we always talk about how difficult pushing through Hangar is, Hunter, because once you lose a fight, you lose more than just the fight. It's a lot of momentum as well.
Yeah, Downpour is in there. LCS gets hacked out and destroyed, and Eli's gonna move in. Gonna try to get rid of another, but Tidal Wave given directly on the bird. Eli is taken care of. It is massive clutch here from Noel, and Tizzy is able to hang out, stay alive, and now there's gonna be an EMP. There's going to be an overclock awaiting this next fight. So for Eli, they're gonna have to pop off here.
Again, this is one of those moments where I'm still surprised they just don't put 2 or 3 members on the cart here, because you could really force Pumas into a really quick fight that they're just not necessarily ready for. And, I mean, you already see the wall going up on one side. Tizzy just gonna try to body block on the other. The point, not gonna be capped just yet, but it's gonna be close.
Definitely close. Bullet shot thrown in, not getting a whole lot, but Glitch is able to get rid of Pigboy. Remember, EMP was online. No longer going to be available. Noah has to be extremely careful, sitting on pretty much no health. Glitch using the bomb. Going to be able to recover. Lamont, though, can't say the same, as Burt also going to clear house. And now you could be seeing Factor X pulling this one back around. It's Glitch, and the support's still there, though. It's a lot of sustain to work with, especially with the rally still in hand. Burt slept away. Needs to be burned, but the EMP is brought out. And it may seem like overkill you, but to me, it is reassurance.
Lamont coming back in for one last touch, but it's only gonna be that, a fleeting touch. 4.5 minutes here now for Factor X to complete the map. Eli gonna be able to find Noel, but that's not really gonna mean a lot. That point was capped. The cart's just kind of stalled out waiting. 3 members on the cart, 4.5 minutes for them here. A lot of time right now for Factor X. And Hunter, I'm gonna be honest, this Factor X team was looking like the team we saw all the way back on map 1. They seem very confident in their playstyle here. Tizzy going up against this D.Va. Like I said, we want to see a little bit more from this Hazard last map against the Wrecking Ball. We're going up against the D.Va. We're seeing everything we want and more, but Eli, back to their sharp shooting ways.
Yep, did so much on that King's Row, and now doing so much here. Gonna have another Bolo shot ready to go, and nothing to block it away. Is everything is running to Tizzy. Tidal Wave is given out just to keep them alive. Gonna jump directly into the face of FX. Oh my god, and Eli, potentially not long for the world, eventually going to burn away. Glitch has to eventually die on this car, and now, almost 4 minutes left on the clock here. We could be looking at a massive time bank, Dex.
And this is what you want here. You want this massive time bank. You don't want to have it be a repeat of King's Row here, Hunter, because that lost them a lot of momentum. Downpour out. Gonna be able to trap, I think, no one, actually, but it might be enough of a distraction.
Yeah, now you gotta throw yourselves on there. 2.5 meters left to go. Glitch getting stunned away. That Nano running out quickly on the Poplots. A nice sleep for the moment, but it means someone still has to clutch up, and unfortunately, nobody's able to do that. They're gonna burn away, and unfortunately, what else is gonna burn away is this defense here. 3:15 on the clock. If you wanted the Factor X that you know and love, baby, you have found them.
I think they found themselves, really. I mean, I really think they did. They came out of the gate, and let's be honest, Hunter, they got stomped that first team fight. But the biggest thing, though, is that Pumas decided to play it safe there, and I don't blame them for that. Hell, I would have done the same thing. Over-aggressing into your enemy spawn sometimes can come back to bite you. It didn't bite them there because it didn't necessarily do it. It bit them because they didn't, which, again, I'm sounding like I'm making no sense here. It's an oxymoron, essentially. Mm-hmm. But after that, you really saw a big difference. And you talked about there a little bit. When Tizzy was able to knock basically everyone off the high ground, that opened up so much there for Factor X to take space, to start pushing the cart, to put Pumas in spots that they weren't really comfortable with. They were halfway through, rotating back up to the high ground when they just decided to say, it's not worth it. We need to stay right here on the main road. And it just didn't end up working out for them. Glitch got DMAC'd. Tizzy going up against this D.Va, I thought would be a little bit better, like I kind of said before, because of that. They don't have to necessarily deal with the fact, or they can chase Glitch down, which is something that they really could not do last map on that Jungle Queen, or when Glitch was playing the Wrecking Ball. They can chase Glitch now. And that's a big thing for them. You see the swaps here coming in, though. We're finally seeing Pumas Are they going to be showing us the Wu Yang here? FX has been playing good all series long. We haven't seen Wu Yang at all from Pumas here. Lamont and Eli, though, they're swapping back and forth, but looks like we might be seeing dual hit scans, which I'm not against.
I'm not against it either, but here we go. Eli gonna TP everybody out eventually. Had to give it a hot minute, but we'll eventually get everybody through. And it's gonna be the Brig Wu Yang again. We saw that for a little while ahead. Varying levels of success, but we'll see if it's a little better over here on the attack. As Pig Boy still wants to stick over the Sombra, did so much with it. There's no reason to ever swap it up, as both teams currently just rallying for the position, but Bert is gonna go down first again.
Yeah, I think at this point you kind of have to give up the high ground here if you are Factor X, which again is falling into that same area where we were talking about last round where Pumas gave it up, but it's for much different reasons. This is Factor X doing it as a team rather than being forced to do it. They're falling back. They're going to be able to regroup. They need to wait for their fallen teammate to get back here, but still, Tizzy's going to be able to take some space, and they have a lot of sustainability here on this hazard.
Ton of sustainability, as a matter of fact. And Noel is already coming up, pretty close to this tidal wave. Might be able to get it online, might not be needed as we're down to a 4v3 situation. Pig Boy able to clutch up big time, is eventually glitched down. And it looks like in a time, you're going to see the defense take back over as Lamont running for the hills. Might get out alive, but is literally hanging on the edge right now, and unfortunately dies very late.
Dies very, very late right there, but here's the thing. So over 2 minutes on the time bank here. You don't really have to fret too much here if you're Pumas, but you have to remember the time bank on the side of Factor X here. You want to get going here. You don't want to give yourself such a little time bank if you do complete the map here. Well, I mean, Tidal Blast already ready here for Noel. That's going to be the only thing here ready pretty early on. Tidal Blast and Bola about to be ready, though, for Pumas, and that could be an explosive start and potentially end to a fight.
Yeah, potentially so. And here you go, Eli. Full shot ready, has had varying levels of success tonight. It's going to go in, not find a whole lot, but a cause to separate as Eli going to be stunned away. Has a very angry Brig trying to take them down as Tizzy going to be able to burn people away. Barely manages to survive, but that survival is integral as Bert cleans up. Another big fight here for Factor X as half the time he's already taken on.
One thing I'm really starting to know is Tizzy and the downpours, I don't think they've been landing on almost anyone, but they still end up finding kills after it. It's just because you're seeing so much utility be used there by Pumas just to get out of them that it's leaving them wide open to Factor X here. EMP, Overclock, and Rally about to be ready here. And Glitch going over to a Reinhardt Hunter. Again, we're seeing him in our year 2025. Eli back over to the Reaper that brought them so much success back on King's Row. Looking for it to be the catalyst that gets them started here again.
Yeah, apparently so. And we get this one going. Bob has been activated. Will it find its intended value? Tizzy is forced out of the fight. Everybody's hiding in a small little room. But you have to be mindful of this EMP. It's going to go in. It's going to catch on to 3 different members. And all 3 are being sent back to the big house. Eli doesn't give everything in time. Tizzy managed to get rid of 3. Pig Boy takes the 4th. But it doesn't matter because the teamwork has made the dream work. And there's a minute left on the clock. And absolutely no ultimates online here for Pumas.
And I was going to say that kind of felt like their last-ditch effort right there. They have no ultimates coming up here. You could be looking at Final Fight if it's slow. Noel has the Tidal Blast coming up, and Bert does have Overclock. That could end the fight really before anything gets started here. What would change it? 1 charge kill, or, hey, Pig Boy falling there by Eli.
Yeah, they're just going back to tried and true that was working before, and hey, if you can make it work on Watchpoint Gibraltar, you can make it work on any map in the world. But Tidal Wave has been used up top on Tizzy. Doesn't find anybody from it, does separate a bunch of people, and Glitch is kind of sitting in no man's land right now, and Eli, perhaps even more so, is alive by the grace of God, but will eventually be taken care of. Yep, eventually comes through, and all Glitch can do is die on this cart, but with 10 seconds left, that's your ball game right there. Maybe you get more touch, but that's a dominant hold, and yeah, nobody's getting this touch.
Hunter, what are we coming into this map talking about? Where is the Factor X team we saw back on map 1? Is that momentum gone? Has Pumas been able to figure them out, much like they figured out Garfo and then Goodfellas in the lower bracket? They seem like that Pumas was back to their giant killer ways. I think we're all even again here now, not only in series score, but just on who has the momentum. That was a dominant map there from Factor X right there. Again, 3 minutes, 15 seconds on the time bank there. Hunter, we talk about a lot. Having over 2 minutes is incredible. Having over 3 minutes is almost unheard of. Factor X really put on a little bit of a clinic there. Now, Pumas, as we head into map 5, normally this would be our final map. But hey, grand finals, it's first to 4. And we're right back to a best of 3.
Oh, I wouldn't have it any other way right now. We are guaranteed to have at least 6 maps here tonight. And we'll see.
Tizzy never died.
Tizzy, wait, seriously? There's no way Tizzy never died. Let me click on this.
Tizzy never died.
Tizzy never died.
34-0.
No only died.
34-0.
No only died once too. Holy cow.
And here, let me go back to something I talked about at the end of last map. The fact that Puma's DPS line had 58 kills compared to the DPS line for Factor X only having 25. Well, let's flip that here. 52 for the side of Factor X, 17 for the side of Pumas there. These DPS lines, Hunter, we've been talking about them a lot throughout the night. We've highlighted Pumas, we've highlighted Factor X's. Tank play is huge, but the DPS lines, whichever one is kicking, is normally the one that's winning games here, and the team that's also winning maps.
Yeah, that's what we've been seeing. It's been consistent so far, and it's probably going to stay consistent beyond that fact. But you got to figure out what you do now going into this next map. If you're Pumas, you get your pick. We know they are taking us to Lijiang Tower for our 5th map. We have loot back around to control now, which means the rest of the map pool after this one is going to open back up. The only thing you can't replay is maps that have already been played, which it's the same advantage of having the map pick at like map 2. Everything is opened up to you. You can go to any different mode you want to that is available outside of control, and that could be a lot of power, but at the same time, Dex, I'd rather have advantage overall than just have map pick advantage.
Yeah, absolutely here, but here's one thing about this map being picked here. If you're Factor X, you watch the lower bracket run here for Pumas, you know what they want to play. You know what they want to play on this map. You know it's Wrecking Ball. You know it's Symmetric. You have to kind of be ready for that. Hunter, we're finally getting the hit scan we wanted banned out in the last map. We're talking about being banned out in the last map. Soj is being banned out this time. But I believe Pumas, on the other side, it's going to be Lucio being banned out. So we're going to see the Wrecking Ball. We're going to see the Symmetra. Wu Yang back in play here, probably for Factor X after for both teams here. Factor X did show us a little bit more last map. But this is going to be a big map. And I say that every time we're in this situation, but for one of these teams here, they will win this map and put themselves on the series points. They will be able to relax for a little bit in this grand finals where I don't think anyone could be relaxed.
It is impossible to be relaxed right now. I mean, me personally being in this situation before, there's no way to calm your nerves in this situation right here. And now you go into this game, a map that is so integral, that'll mean everything to where if this is a 7-map series, whoever wins this one right here is going able to dictate so much in that 7th map. It is, for these teams, it is such an advantage for them to win this one out as we get this one nice, set, ready to go. Dex, it could go either way at this point. Both teams showing their stuff as Eli and Pig Boy both keeping them out.
Well, Pig Boy's going to probably swap back over to the Tracer. Eli probably going over to the Pharah if they're going to swap over to anything else here. And you do have Burt on that side that should be able to slow them down a little bit, at least force them to spots that they are in the open a little bit more. I like LCS on the Brig, though, expecting that Glitch would be back out on the Wrecking Ball. That's going to be something that slows down Glitch here a little bit more, allowing Tizzy, who's sticking with the Hazard here, to try to find a lot of value.
Yeah, and Eli is sitting on 1. The rest of the team's going to be burnt away. Tizzy is pretty low, but Burt's getting rid of 2. Gets rid of 3 to clean things out. Lamont eventually cleaned out as well. First fight taken over quickly here as Factor X gonna move forward as Eli and Glitch. Basically, they need to make this as chaotic as humanly possible for Factor X.
Yeah, and that entire fight right there ended when Glitch died by flashbang by Burt. I don't know if you saw it. Glitch was actually hanging off the side of the map. Burt hit them with their flashbang to disrupt the grapple, sending them straight down. That's how that fight, that entire fight ended there for Pumas. Right now, though, you see LCS. They're kind of trying to keep an eye on wherever Glitch is. A shield bash stops any momentum. Same thing with Burt here, as you already see White Room being taken advantage of here by, well, Pumas as they find Burt out. Now Eli can play a little bit more free, knowing that there's really no one on the other side that's going to deal with them.
Yep, 100%. It's just, it feels like it should be a matter of time, but you never know in these situations. Big Power Drive doesn't catch on to either of the supports as they're doing a really good job keeping them up, but one direct is there. Eli can't find the finish. This is incredible stall here from Factor X, but it might be a situation where they might have to let sleeping dogs lie as you try to go in and find something. Eli gets exploded as a result, and Burt wants to get this taken care of right here and now. They're going to pull it back around. They're going to clutch up the point. Nothing is given to Pumas.
Hunter, I always talk about when we come to this point, and anytime we come to Lijiang Tower, this is the most stallable point in the game. it's such a small point that you could play on either side. The teams don't really like having to deal or poke their head out to wherever the enemy team or attacking team is coming from. It just becomes something that once you get control of the point, it's very hard to take away without getting a team kill here. But you look at Pumas, they're coming up to 4 ultimates while the only thing ready on the other side is a rally. And at this point, I think LCS might just hold on to that until they have a fight where they feel like they're guaranteed to win. Deadeye though, finding one.
Yep, and the Deadeye is used pretty effectively, 87% on the board. Eli is going to have the ultimate around the corner. Tizzy able to clear out, but Bird not long for the world, so we'll get time Eli to get back for the reset. I mean, you're going to have the tidal wave as well going into this fight. You're sitting pretty decent right now if you are Pumas.
And you give that title blast to Eli and allow them just to go play very aggressive into the backline there, or into the entirety of that team for them, and pop that barrage, giving them a little bit more shields. Glitch, though, trying to find that poop off the map, not going to be able to find it here, though. As you see, here's the attack, the rally out here from LCS. They want to try to win this point back fast.
Yeah, I'm looking for that stun right there. Nobody going down. Tizzy in a weird spot. As a result, Pig Boy actually goes down on that Sombra now. Glitch gets hacked away, but it's not going to matter too much as Eli waiting for a potential opportunity. Literally, he just has to hang around the high ground, find an opportunity, gets booped away nearly, ends up getting hit, and now it's Null trying to find something, is anybody in, and it's going to be taken off the side, booped away, and Factor X struggle to pull this one back. Eli gets rid of 2, Glitch helps out with the next 2, and they're going to get that going. It finds its value, and right now, it's feeling like this is going to come down to this next fight.
This is the biggest problem here on this point. Like I said, it's very stallable, but it's very hard to take back once you lose it. Tizzy will have downpour. Been hit or miss on that ultimate, but you look at the other side. Kitsune Rush, Deadeye, ready to go. Lamont was able to find one with it last time, and one might be all you really need here for Pumas to keep control of it. White Room is going to be the way to go here for Factor X here, but they need to find something here early on. You're looking at Tizzy to find a key hack here, but they're struggling.
Yeah, he's looking for the opportunity. That downpour could be the difference between life and death here. Lamont, though, does also have a Deadeye, but needs to stay alive. As here it's going to go down. Big cleanse. Nobody gets hit from it, and now Glitch simply needs to hang out alive. Lamont has a Deadeye, but we know that Deadeye in the past has been extremely hit or miss. And to be fair, as Poplots gets caught out, people have to start going to the point. Glitch needs to either run for the hills or start stalling now, but Eli is there, back on the scene. This is going to be the do or die fight. It's back and forth. EMP going to catch on the multiple people. Glitch needs care, gets rid of 1, and now we need to find the overtime touch. The overtime is activated as Glitch, with 1 health, still alive.
Glitch somehow staying alive here right now. The EMP, I mean, I understand why they used it where they did, but if they knew those minefields were out there, they would have used it on the mines. Title blast out from both sides here right now, Hunter. They're going to be able to find one with it. Is there a touch? Yes.
There's a touch, but it's looking pretty barren right now. Lamont has a Deadeye. It's not even going to matter. Bird's going to clear this one away. As one more touch from Glitch will do it. Tizzy, 3K to finish it off. First round heads over to Factor X, but my God, again, Pumas making them fight for it on control.
Yeah, back and forth and back and forth and back and forth here. I mean, this is what we kind of wanted to see from both these teams, and this is what we have seen so far. Hunter, real quick, the scoreboard's wrong.
Oh, what? Did I not? Oh my God, I never hit the
sides.
Yeah,
sides.
So here's the thing. I realized that I was wrong about 30 seconds in. I changed it. I never faded over, ladies and gentlemen. That is my bad. I'm stupid.
Don't be afraid to ask for help out there.
But either way, you know, you made yourself a pretty fantastic point. Thank you, Vagrant, for letting us know. But going into this one, not seeing too many changes. Pigboy is currently tempting Fate with the Bastions. Shirley is trolling. As, yeah, we'll TP about instead and probably go back over to, what would you say, the situation? Tracer? Yeah.
Tracer. But look at the other side. Glitch coming out on the Zarya instead. And Tizzy, it's going to be really interesting to see if they decide to stick with this hazard or not. Bert, though, hey, you need someone to step up. Bert has been stepping up.
Yeah, and Pigboy has been doing the same thing throughout this entire series as Glitch wants to try to get out with all this delicious charge. Factor X not going to let it happen. In fact, isn't going to let anybody get out of here alive. Eli, the lone exception, as Popot's already over on that Juno.
And we've seen this come out from them a little bit in the past, but it's hit or miss with them, and you already see them getting off it, going over to the Wu Yang instead. So now we're going to be seeing this mirroring Wu Yang. We saw a little bit last map, and Lamont going over to Cassidy here. Eli back over to the Reaper. You can really see that that Pumas is going back to something that worked for them before in the past, whether just individual heroes or whole team comps. They just want something to go their way here early on. They cannot allow Factor X to get a big lead.
Yeah, but the problem is Glitch is basically being cut off, and Glitch is using these bubbles too early. And it's not the fault that they are going out of their way to use it too early. They are being forced to use them too early. Affect's gonna die super late as well. And now, this is just back to the Factor X ways of just taking the thing over and just keeping momentum firmly in their hands.
Yeah, right now, I mean, you're seeing they're playing this very close hold. They have time. They're building up this big lead, so they can afford to really lose a fight here and give up the point, but they don't want to. You're about to have both your deep support ultimates, about to have both your DPS ultimates. Tizzy is really the only one lagging behind, but you're perfectly fine with that. Your DPS have been doing a lot here. You have Tidal Blast ready to go. Consumer Rush already out. That could win you a team fight here early.
Yeah, and they're going to go in. You see a little bit of separation on the sports. Tizzy super low. Tidal Wave activated directly onto the face of Glitch. Pulse Bomb is out. The Tidal Wave is out. Eli taken care of. And that's going to be 60+% on the board. You do use 3 ultimates in that fight. And now, if you're Pumas, you go in so close to so many of these ultimates.
Yeah, and like you said right there, Factor X, they did invest 3 ultimates into that fight. Maybe a little bit of an overinvestment there with the Pulse Bomb, but hey, use them when you got them sometimes. You're looking at potential final fight territory. Deadeye out though from Burt. The wall has to come down so they potentially find something, and they find something.
Now that they do, and everybody needs to simply hang alive, but here we go, trying to find body cleanses out. Unfortunately, Glitch caught him, but it's not going to matter a whole lot. They're going to move forward. They win their first fight here on this sub-map. And again, just like when we were over there at Garden, they have to fight their way back from one fight territory.
They have to fight their way back from that one fight territory, but look at what they have, Hunter. They only use 1 ultimate. Again, that's going to work out for them great here. Tizzy giving up the hazard, going over to the Zarya. Remember what happened last time we saw this back on Ilios? It worked out for them really well, but they're going up against the Diva. This time, though, they're going to walk into 4 ultimates. And Pig Boy, hey, that Bastion is back.
Yeah, and the dual wielding here with the ults, I don't know how I feel about it yet, ladies and gentlemen. It asked me about 2 minutes, but Glitch gets to stay alive, holds on to all that charge, and still has that grab.
And right now, you see it here. Grab out, going to be able to find 2. Suzu already invested. The Tidal Blast thrown on a null themselves. It's going to be a wasted ultimate right there, Hunter. And I think that's going to be one they want back. But you do see Factor X just progress up here. They got rid of Glitch. Deadeye coming out here from Lamont, but the Consumer Rush out from the other side. It looks like Factor X is actually going to be able to take back the point here.
Yeah, and now you got to get a touch right here, and it's probably going to have to be Eli, but no. Glitch is there hanging around, and now, if you're Eli, you have to try to go after somebody, do something. Unfortunately, you can't just stall on the point. You need to go actively go out there and get somebody and hope somebody else is going to be able to start getting these touches, because Eli is getting bullied one after another. Tizzy has too much. Pig Boy drilling one person after another, bit finishing the finishes, and now for Factor X, this is now match point on the line. They'll take Lijiang Tower, move to 3-2, and they look phenomenal there. This is how we saw them near the beginning, and near the end of the series, they're looking the same way.
And Factor X bringing us to Watch Point seems to be their reset map, and ever since then they've looked incredible. Hell, Tizzy died 3 times that map. Well, they died 3 times in the last 2 maps, and have got 66 kills in that time. They have been playing out of their mind. Same thing, the CPS line stepped up. I think everyone for Factor X really stepped up. They took that little break, or that little downtime between maps 3 and 4 to really just mentally reset, and that reset has worked. Pumas now desperately needs that. Or Hunter, the final here is going to be the same final that happened about last December in the... crap, I just had it up on my screen. I believe it was the Pan American Overwatch, where these 2 teams made in the grand finals as well.
Yeah, no, you're 100% right about that. So I'm curious to see what happens as a result here now, because we already know where we're going for our 6th and potentially final map in the series. It is Suravasa, a map that can definitely be fast-paced, and this pick is going to be important. As a matter of fact, it's going to be, you would think, a strange one in some retrospects, but it's going to be Brig, and this is basically a target ban towards LCS.
It's a target ban towards LCS, but it's also just trying to make sure that Glitch can go back over to that Wrecking Ball and only really have to deal with maybe one thing that can stop it, the Cassidy Flashbang, or LCS decides to play an Ana asleep here at this point. You want to try to make sure that Glitch has that room to move around, do whatever they want on that Wrecking Ball, because you can go back and look at maps 2 and maps 3 of the series, where they were able to do whatever they wanted.
Literally whatever they wanted in that situation. And now they hope to continue that trend one final time, because that's all they have to do is continue it one final time as we're getting ready to get into the 6th map, getting everybody within the lobbies as the second ban for the second time throughout this series. Tracer has been banned, this time by Factor X.
And hey, we've seen both these two tracers, whether it be Pig Boy or whether it be Poplots. No, it's not Poplots. Lamont or
Yes.
Eli.
Eli.
Really fine. Yeah, Eli. Really be able to go back and forth with each other. It has been one side's been pretty even, and at times you've seen Puma's tracers do a lot of damage. You've seen Factor X's tracers do a lot of damage. Just get rid of it here on this map. You already got rid of Brig. We expect to see Wu Yang. Outside of that, probably Kiriko or Lucio. We've seen those heroes a lot here tonight, but my feeling is Glitch is going to be back out on that wrecking ball, and I think Tizzy has finally settled in on that Hazard. And Hazard, again, cannot be banned out the rest of the series, I believe, as it was all the way back on map 1. I think it was Pumas that banned out the Haz.
Well, it's really good that we have a lovely little screen here to show all of our bans. And yeah, Hazard was the very first ban of this entire series. And now here we are. It is available for what could be the final map. Lamont currently teasing that Sombra that honestly I think showed a lot of effectiveness when we saw it previously. Not something we see from Lamont very often, but it's got to be big here as TP out for Pig Boy. Probably going to TP out and go up to, yep, the Sombra as well. Potentially expecting that ball.
No ball, but the Diva instead. And still, we saw what happened when these two tanks went up against each other on Watch Point. Granted, different type of map, different type of game mode. But still, you have to kind of imagine it might be the same outcome here as Tizzy has really found themselves here in these last two maps.
Yeah, and Lamont is going to run for the hills. He's in a really weird situation, but can get cared for. Will be able to recover. And now Glitch hoping to go on that top row, force Tizzy into a weird situation. A hack would pretty much, I mean, just sign Tizzy to their death right here. They do get hacked. Cleanse wall, all expended. Poplots of all people goes down. And now Glitch has to run for the hills, is caught in a really weird spot. He's almost demeched as they're going to try to go for the mega health pack. They get it just in time here as advantage taken here by Factor X, but the fight not quite over.
There's still a little bit of a weird fight here. I mean, you could really see Pumas come back in and win it here, but with the fallback here, Tizzy back to full health, it seems like Factor X has been able to withstand the first storm here. Now, though, Glitch very low. Same thing, though, could be said for Tizzy as they get healed right back up.
Yep, 100%. You got to try to find something here. If you're Eli, gets separated, gets super low. I wouldn't be picking at 7 health in that situation. But Eli, bet you're going to go in. You're going to throw everything into Tizzy. Kitsune Rush is activated. Tizzy is caught in the sidelines. Eli needs to try to find the finish on the Tizzy, who's running for their very life. Does manage to survive, as we should be able to get another retouch in here momentarily. They're going to go. Eli forced back. Kitsune Rush now activated for them. Tizzy had the downpour activated as well, waiting for a potential moment. Glitch is taken out of the mech, and I think that right there should determine this first point.
Yeah, that will basically do it here. Lamont going to be able to find Burt, but that's just going to be kind of a consolation. You do see Lamont eventually just run away here. Maybe one last second retouch, but losing Poplots, I think that's going to really make them second guess themselves there. They're just going to figure out where the next point's going to be and try to get there first. As, I mean, you look at Pumas here. They're about to come up to 3 ultimates, but same thing though for Factor X. They're about to have 4 as they only invested that Kitsune Rush there in that first point. And Tizzy, again, still on a tear here. This Hazard seems almost unstoppable at moments, Hunter.
Yep, and now Pig Boy EMP, and they do not see it coming. And that's 4 members all caught up inside of it, and they are all taken care of. Glitch wisely takes a very quick reset, and everybody is directly behind them. Lamont, I believe, is out right now. Yeah, managed to get completely out, take the reset, but now it's Lamont who will get a chance for this EMP, but it's gotta hit LCS.
But here's the biggest thing about that fight. Because it happened so early on, it's not like Factor X is going to have this huge lead. No, it's only going to be about 10-15% by the time you really see another fight happen here on point. And Lamont is going to have an EMP of their own, and they wanted to get rid of Tizzy.
Yeah, and the beat from LCS is not there in time. Poplots, though, is taken care of, so this is not over yet. In fact, Glitch goes in super aggro. Has to use the bomb to be able to remake. Burt might have to slide on the point. Eli needs DM badly as point will flip over. Fight not quite over yet, as Burt and Noel still hanging around. In fact, Tizzy back into the fight means this might not take long to recontinue.
I think Factor X is going to fall back here. There's a little bit of an awkward fight for them as they were split up and had their support line on the opposite side of point. Granted, it was Noel able to get out here, but Downpour and Kitsune Rush about to be ready here for Factor X. Yeah, you're going to have both your support levels ready at some point this fight here for Pumas, barring one of them dying.
Yeah, and you see it goes all the way through. I don't think they expected that, but Tizzy nearly falls off the edge there, is able to recover, but is sitting super low. Needs some care from the squad. The care, though, is not there. Burt and Pig Boy did manage to help find the flip, so it's not quite over yet. Lamont's going to get burnt away. This should have been their advantage, and Pop-What's going to go with the peek, and City Rush gets activated in the process. They have to try to chase bodies down. Null ends up being taken down, but Glitch going down is going to make the remake impossible. With LCS and Bird extremely low, Pigboy forced back. This could go either way, as eventually Burt goes down, and Tizzy being back means they can restabilize.
Lamont back here on point, going to be able to hack, but it's not really going to lead to much here, as I think they will eventually fall. Actually, no, they're going to be able to get away, but still, this is a very awkward fight, and it's going to be Factor X actually giving up the point for free, as Pop-What's finding a couple more kills here. Going to be able to make sure they get that trade, and just complete fallback here now from Factor X. They don't want to lose anyone else here, as especially, they really have no ultimates ready to go here soon.
Yep, I'm loving the aggression, but I am not loving it anymore. FX gets caught out in the wrong place at the wrong time, and now it's all out aggression. There's nothing stopping them from moving forward. Nice little hack on the Tizzy, stops him momentarily, but Lamont going down is worst case scenario. Glitch has to run for the hills. Unfortunately, there's not a perfect target to get this touch. Pop-What's might have to give their life to do it, and you're waiting, and with that, you gotta reset. You just gotta jump off the cliff, reset, because you get one more point, and Factor X are that close to winning the whole thing.
A reverse sweep to keep the series alive here for the Cinderella team right now. The 4 seed. Pumas has been able to do so much. We've called them giant. We've called them god killers at time. But right now, Hunter, they are seeming very human here. While Factor X is becoming the team that, hell, we kind of saw throughout the season here at a lot of points. About to have 4 ultimates ready to go here. Compare that to the 4 about to be ready for the other side. That downpour, though, from Tizzy might be able to really win them a team fight before anything even gets started. EMP, though, gonna find 3.
Yeah, but nobody goes down in exchange. Glitch is gonna go all in on Tizzy, who doesn't have the eventual carry to help them stabilize, taken down, but Glitch has to play for the life right now, stay in the map, and eventually they will take this first fight away, and importantly, they hold on to 3 of their ultimates. Yes, it is pretty much a 4-4 trade coming to this next fight, so this fight coming up has so much momentum attached to it.
But if you're Pumas, you have EMP here ready to go, and that could really be an ultimate that you use only that one and win the fight off of that here. There's a lot of ultimates on the other side that needs a lot of help here to really find all the value you're truly looking for. So this is the start here for Pumas. They got a great one there, considering the EMP didn't really find much from Pigboy. Overclock out here from Burt, but Pigboy finds FX.
And they're gonna throw everything in the kitchen sink. Everybody is in there, keeping him alive momentarily. But unfortunately for them, the exchange is definitely gonna go the way of Factor X here. Glitch is gonna have to go and die on the point, hopefully holding on to the bomb. 100% will. Pop-What's there to help with a little bit more stall. Should be able to get this into the 60s, as eventually Pop-What's gone. 64% on the board, and now double Kitsune rush, but Glitch still has the bomb.
And right now, 64%. That's a great kind of cap there. Ooh. Lamont, that's a huge pick there for Pumas. They really need to go in on that right now. Kitsune Rush, the only thing ready to go here for Factor X. Man, that's still a very strong ultimate, but you have bomb, you have Kitsune Rush of your own here. This fight needs to get going here now. Kitsune Rush probably coming out from both sides.
And that it 100% is. Tizzy getting hacked away, forced into a really weird area, burnt away in time. Pigboy trying to escape with their life intact, and now with 70% on the board, they will get one chance to hit a big old reset, and Glitch only ultimate on the table currently.
Bomb, though, is huge. You see Tizzy go back over to the Zarya. Again, we saw this map 1. Map 1.1, really, where Glitch was doing a lot on the Diva, forcing Tizzy to get off of the hero they were playing, go over to the Zarya themselves, and man, did they make a difference there. Granted, it was only about 2 fights, but it was a big difference. They get the touch here to keep this point alive here. Hunter, Factor X wants to win this map, and they want to win the series now.
Yeah, and Glitch is going to be able to do things back and forth, but eventually Burt and Tizzy pop off. Tizzy somehow doesn't die to that bomb, got a bubble in just in time, and now this will be the fight that could decide both teams' fate. A bolo shot could be the difference between victory and defeat.
Pigboy barely being able to get touch right there might be the difference here for Factor X. Now, though, you look at them, EMP not that far away from O'Clock, and Tizzy in one fight got 70% up to a grab. Hunter, like you said, this might be it. The Bola is going to need to make a huge difference. Pop-What's needs to build up to the beat as well here. It's going to be a Zarya v Zarya right now. You're looking for a pick early. Lamont finds it there on the LCS. The DPS line coming alive here.
Yeah, but it's 3 with that right there. Burt managed to get rid of one. Lamont, though, still hanging around. We could see a clutch coming through here. Grab comes online, though. 3 bodies inside of it. Tizzy managed to get rid of 1. Gets a second and postmortem. Burt what's the clutch up. Does it with 2. Eli is nowhere close. Factor X, they were the kings of Andromeda, and now they are the kings of FACEIT.
It took them 3 tries. They've been in these grand finals 2 times before, Hunter. We came into this series talking about them being the bridesmaids. Well, now, hell, they're the brides. They're the queens. They are the leaders of this entire region. Factor X, your champions. What a performance coming out here. And especially, remember, after map 3, we were asking where was Factor X? They looked lost, but now they found themselves, and they now find themselves standing above everybody else.
And what a heck of a way to do it, and all credit in the world for Pumas for making them fight for every single little bit of it. I mean, the most dominant they looked was in that very first map, and we start extending further, and Pumas show off the style that Factor X is basically having to adjust to on the fly. And it takes them a while to learn it, but once they learned it, Dex, they got it down pat. They go ahead and win 3 maps in a row. They take this thing away, and let me tell you, it was incredibly back and forth. Tizzy throwing out that grab. We've seen grab throws like that make or break wins like these, and it ends up working out beautifully, and man, what a finish.
What a finish. And Lamont there at the end as well, almost being able to clutch up for the team to get back that point in their control. However, I don't necessarily think they would have been able to. We saw there that there were some other members of Factor X that were closely behind when Tizzy did fall. But, oh man, Lamont was so close. That DPS line really started to come alive for Pumas. A great run here for Pumas, as again, they've been in FACEIT League Masters here in South America for as long as Factor X has. This is their best result as well, finishing second. Factor X, though, they finally are able to crown themselves as champions here after a couple times trying and a lot of heartbreak along the way. We remember last season where they were very, very high on themselves. They thought they were going to be able to win that one. Zocorp has this magical run to win that one. This time, though, I mean, we came into this series talking about the fact that Factor X hadn't played in a week, and I thought there would be some rust they could really get away with. Map 1, there was no rust. It was as shiny as could be. Maps 2 and 3, though, that rust started to fade away, and you started to see those pop-off moments really come there from Pumas. Remember, Eli, a four-man Death Blossom to not only keep the round alive, but get them to really complete the map. They almost got full held on first point. That 4K pulse bomb or 4K Death Blossom leads them to get that point, rolling through the map, winning in overtime. And that started Pumas here, where they looked like their giant killer selves. But somewhere along the way, this Factor X team was able to remember how they played throughout this entire regular season, able to finish up this series, winning the last 3 maps of the season.
Yeah, being able to clutch it up like that, and that's what we have seen from this Factor X squad, not just this season, but the past 2 seasons. From the time that we started really getting into South America and started following all of these teams, we have seen this be one of the more scrappy teams, and now they have turned into one of the favorites here in not just South America, Latin America in general. That is what they have become here, and all credit to them. I do have to sit here and give that praise to Pumas, though, as well, because again, this is a team that from the beginning of the season, you and I, we would have never guessed they would be sitting here in the grand finals, let alone taking away multiple maps in a grand final. This is a squad that comes out here that didn't find too much success last season, that comes in here, only gets a few wins, barely makes it into the playoffs, and they make one hell of an impression. They knock 2 teams out of the playoffs to get here, and they come in here, they put on a fantastic performance, and every bit of credit in the world has to go towards this team for anybody who doubted them.
Yeah, like you said, they barely made it in, and that is it in the truest words. They barely made it in. They were the 4 seed. They got in because Zocorp was not able to field a team. They got that forfeit win, giving them a tiebreaker over them. That next week, they had to go against Garfo, the 3rd seed in this seed, and Garfo needed to win to get in. They won 3-0. So Puma's coming in here. Again, you could have already kind of counted them out early on in these playoff runs, especially when they had that 3-0 loss to Goodfellas in the first round. But then they face against Garfo again, only about a week and a half removed from playing them in their final week of the regular season. And they look different. We mentioned it there. They look like an unstoppable team. Then they go up against Goodfellas, a team that had just previously 3-0'd them the week before. And we called them giant killers. We saw it here again tonight. They have these moments, and it really seems like this team has really found itself. And coming into this next season here of FACEIT in South America, I mean, you're probably looking again at 2 of the top contender teams here, and still, we're not talking about Goodfellas, and we're not talking about Garfo, who had incredible seasons of their own. Garfo was probably the most standout team for me and you as just being able to improve from last season to this season. Goodfellas went undefeated in the regular season, but they had a little bit of a collapse in the playoffs, and that's unfortunate because it's now almost happened two seasons in a row for Goodfellas or Elements here. But I mean, there is a lot of good competition here in South America, and we saw it here again tonight.
We saw a lot of it here tonight, and it's extremely impressive, especially because a lot of the times when you think about this region, you know, Brazil is one of the first that comes to mind naturally from everything that we have seen from a lot of the past of South America in general when it comes to FACEIT. But we come here today, a single Brazilian, I believe, between both of these rosters, a bunch of people from Chile, a bunch of people from the United States. I shouldn't say a bunch. I mean, like, I think it's 2 because it's...
And apparently Bert playing from the EU.
Yeah, Bert was an EU on like 200 ping. I wouldn't have guessed it. Not after 6 maps of that. That's crazy.
Not after, I mean, let me look, I want to see the last map. Not after going 23-3 in the final map.
God, that's amazing.
It's insane. And we've seen performances like that both seasons here, but Factor X, I mean, this is a wholeheartedly deserved win here for them. And hell, it would have been the same if Pumas won. They would have deserved it a lot, probably a little bit more, considering they had this magical run. But Factor X, they were always that team in the regular season that, you know, minus 1 or 2 losses, or their 2 losses they had. Remember, one was by technicality because of a bug being used. They had to forfeit against Goodfellas. You could be looking at maybe one of the best, or if not the best team. And now you really have to talk about them as being the best team here in this region. Yeah,
we have to talk about it, man. It's incredible everything that we have been able to really see over the course of the last, it's been almost 6 months now, it feels like.
6 months.
Yeah, and it's crazy that it's been that long since we've gotten to come in here and start showing off this region more. And by no means do I want to gas ourselves. I'll be like, yeah, we showed off all some cool stuff, guys, yeah. But no, we do it because we genuinely enjoy it at the end of the day, because this is one of those wild regions that doesn't get the respect it deserves. And I mean, let's be real, some of the craziest stuff we have seen over the course of this year, Dex, it has come from South America. Some stuff that you wouldn't see from North America or EMEA, it happens here, and it is insane.
Yeah, the players are really good. They're really, really good. Like me and you've talked about behind the scenes. If there's more focus put on this region, you will get some star players out of it. You will get star teams out of it as well. And I think we're very close to that here. Hopefully they get more representation here soon. But right now, again, all congratulations to Factor X here. They were so close last season. Got beat and kind of rolled over by that leaders team that came out of nowhere in the playoffs. This time around, though, they made sure that did not happen. A 4-2 victory for them. And Hunter, like I said, this was their 3rd attempt at trying to become champions here in FACEIT. They have now been a part of half the FACEIT Grand Finals here, or Masters Grand Finals here for FACEIT in South America. And I think winning this one gets that monkey off their back. You might be starting to see a potential dynasty come up here for Factor X.
Well, there's a grand possibility of that being the case, honestly. You have to heavily consider that being a factor. Because this team has shown that they can be juggernauts, and we talked to them in here saying, hey, they kind of were the favorites coming into this one. That shouldn't be a shock to anybody when we kind of looked at everything that we have experienced over the last couple of months. Not just here, but in CGL, in Andromeda, everything that has been on display. It made it apparent that, hey, there's a chance this just straight up goes their way, and you don't know what's going to happen at the end of the day. Obviously, we can't sit here and predict every single little thing, but we go into the situation, and I love everything that these teams were able to represent at the end of the day. Everything that they fought for, everything that they did. And it felt like, again, we say this in football, any given Sunday. It felt like every given Wednesday, somebody could beat somebody else.
And we got that every playoffs. It really seemed. Every playoffs, we got the most wild results. And hey, Pumas, they almost did it here. I mean, I really feel like if they get that 3rd point there on Sarabasa, they probably start the reverse sweep there, and we're looking at a map 7. Pumas just needs a little bit of momentum to go their way, and they are very difficult to give it up. I mean, hell, it took Factor X a couple maps to get the momentum back from them after dropping Kings Row. And Pumas they needed that one little spark. I think they were so close. But again, this Pumas team, I mean, everybody here for Pumas, I mean, again, we've talked about it a little bit. They deserve all the flowers. They had an incredible playoff run, an incredible regular season. Even with the struggles they had, they still played good. They were getting better, and we were talking about it. And they were finally able to put it all together, but they come up just short here tonight. Next season, though, even though I talked about Factor X potentially having a dynasty, it might be a little bit different.
It might be a little different. You never know. There's always roster shuffling. We saw it from them this previous season as well. Things changed around a little bit. Wedtube, who was with LCS for a while, ended up going to Zocorp for a while, left, and right now, I don't know specifically where they're at. I mean, I do know a place they're going to be at, as we'll talk about that momentarily. But no, you never know how things are going to change around. You never know what the situation is going to be with teams, but the fact of the matter is, we're going to be able to see most of these teams still stay represented in the next season. Because remember, we saw people who didn't get to this point, like you said, like Garfo, like Faka, who is doing some pretty good things in CGL right now and is improving every single day. And I'm just excited to see these teams be able to do more things. And obviously, it's going to be a minute until we get some more content. But Dex, before I move on to the final topic that we have set up, do you have any just words in general about what we've got to experience here?
No, I mean, again, we said after last season with South America, it's always fun to cast these teams, always fun to cast these players. There's so many incredible players down here. Again, Senju and William Mundy really have helped us out a lot. Even this season, there was still, it kind of differed a little bit with help, but they were still very much open to talking to us about a lot of stuff going on here in South America. So again, thank you to them. Without them really getting into CGL, we would probably never be covering this right now. And without them, we wouldn't be doing this. So it's really all thanks to them that we're able to see this here. But again, these two teams, they put on a hell of a show here tonight.
Yeah, and we appreciate that by all metrics, being able to have a good match to put on, honestly. That's what I love more than anything. It's lovely to be here in the first place, but obviously when you have the four map one, it's like, okay, well, hey, team won dominantly. But this felt so back and forth, and even though it ended dominantly for FACEIT, I love how back and forth this was. I love both these teams. I love all the teams. I love all of you that watched. There was so much support in the chat, so much support throughout this entire season, and from the bottom of my heart, genuinely, I appreciate it so much. I know Dex appreciates it so much as well, how much support y'all have given. And obviously, we want to keep supporting this region as much as we possibly can when we can. Because, I mean, the fact that we get to go into some of these days, Dex, and we get to dedicate like a solid 3 or 4 hours to Overwatch between North and South America, man, that makes my night sometimes, honestly. But with that being the case, obviously, we're kind of being slightly somber here at the end. But we do have one more thing really quick. One more thing really quick. We're going to go through really quick because we were talking about more coming for South America. But we're talking more about Central America and North America coming up here because CGL and a little help with Group Senju and XYBA, they're putting on the Copa Americana, which we got to see a little something from this before. Obviously, you were talking before about the Suda Americana that we saw before that, hey, Factor X also participated in. But when we're looking at this, as you have the rosters, don't you? I have. I don't think I do. Yeah, let me double down and send them to you. I made sure to do a little bit of research beforehand, but basically we are talking about some of the teams that kind of got already kind of announced and represented. There's still 4 other regions that are going to be announced, but what has been announced is Costa Rica and Puerto Rico. And looking between these rosters really quick, first one I really want to bring up in this situation is Costa Rica. The good thing about both these teams is quite a bit of them are made up from previous World Cup talent. I mean, you take a look at this Costa Rica squad. Some of the people coming in here, that backline of Benji is in there right now. WedTube is also hanging in there as well. WedTube, who again competes here in South America all the time. Jodello on that DPS coming back in for the squad. Spooky, who is that tank player, also there. There is a lot of previous talent from this squad that, hey, was thought to be, hey, this is the very best that Costa Rica has to offer. And they're, hey, when you're going to a situation like this, these guys look fantastic. We've seen some of these guys play. We've seen how great some of them are.
Yeah, and it's going to be really fun when Copa Americas comes back up here, especially for all these teams here again and representing their countries as well. It's always a big thing when that happens. We saw it a little bit last year when we had the South American one where it was Brazil that ended up coming on top. But I think that was a lot of people's first introduction to how good some of these other countries were, especially Chile, who almost actually upset Brazil in that grand finals.
Yeah, that was phenomenal to see. And again, I mean, from what we saw today, obviously, I think Chile is definitely a big threat in a situation like this, and it's incredible to see them and what they have done. But obviously, with that being the case, you look at another region that near and dear to our hearts, Puerto Rico, which you look at some of the talent that goes over there and who is kind of crossed over. And to be fair, it's not a big crossover from what we have seen from the World Cup roster 2023. A lot of new people have come into the situation. I think one of the only people that has indeed transferred over is, I believe, Lightwolf previously played on that roster. I'm trying to make sure I'm not missing anybody else because there really isn't much crossover, which, to be fair, is kind of exciting. when you're in a situation like this where there's so much talent that comes up that, hey, maybe you haven't gotten to play in a World Cup setting like this previously.
Yeah, I mean, other names on that Puerto Rico roster, I mean, Arizona, I believe, were OWCS for at least one stage, I believe, with Amplify. And then you have Riker as well. I mean, there's some serious talent on these teams here coming up. So it's going to be really fun to see the rest of the rosters be unveiled here soon coming up. And that's going to be a really, really fun event that Group Senju, XYB, and CGL is going to be putting on.
No, it's going to be fantastic, and I'm really excited for it. Obviously, these rosters are going to keep being announced throughout the next couple of weeks. I don't know if I could talk much about who is getting announced when, but I can quickly go through the other teams that are involved in the World Cup for those not quite sure of what it is. Obviously, we already mentioned Costa Rica and Puerto Rico, but going into the other ones, here it is, the Copa Americana, right here. We still have to introduce Mexico, Nicaragua. We have the United States and Canada yet to be announced. And when it comes to that bracket, Nicaragua and Mexico already go through to the second round of that. So Canada will take on Costa Rica, and United States will take on Puerto Rico to get things going. And to be fair, this gives an amazing chance for these teams to show what they can do right out the gate.
Absolutely. So that's going to be a lot of fun when that gets started up here, especially when the rest of those teams are announced. But Hunter, it was an incredible season here for season 6 of FACEIT Masters here in South America. Factor X able to come out on top, able to get some revenge for last season, able to finish their story. Third time is the charm here for them. But Pumas, they come up so close on completing the Cinderella run. Here she is grabbing my throat.
Hey, listen, Zaya's just really excited, all right? We had a long night. You kind of freaked them out near the beginning, too.
Yeah, but I mean, Pumas, they came up so close. This was a really, really fun series. And hey, like I said, I really think they were that third point away from really turning that entire final map on its head. Factor X, though, they wanted to make sure that did not happen. And they are your champions here for FACEIT Masters Tier Season 6.
Yeah, and it is well deserved too. We hope to keep seeing more from them. We hope to keep seeing more from Pumas, from all the amazing players and teams and coaches that we have gotten to know more about over the course of these last few months. It's been a phenomenal time with y'all, and this has sounded like a goodbye. Nah, this is a see you later, because we have stuff with the Copa America kind of coming out. We have more stuff going on with Andromeda. We have Season 7 of FACEIT coming up in what's only going to be about a month's time, where we're going to have more action to be able to show y'all. So Dex, with that being the case, one final time, genuinely thank all of you for what you have kind of, in your own rights, helped create here for us to experience this, for y'all to be able to see more of these amazing players and teams be represented here. We love it. We love you. We love being here. And with that, now all settled. Thank y'all. Have yourselves a brilliant night. I don't know when I'll see you next, but when we do again, we'll give you some excellent South America action. See you later.